Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 116. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, the full panel, the full squad, Ben Boyce, Frankie Ayler, Bender Holt. Gentlemen, it's good to be back. How are you guys doing this evening? Let's start with Bender. Bender, what's up, buddy?
Not much. Doing all right.
Special shout out to you for holding it down last week and editing the podcast. You did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. I appreciate you stepping in and knocking it out of the park, dude. Good stuff.
Anytime, man. It was fun. I'm glad it sounded good. So yeah, thanks.
I figured it'd be a little bit easier for you since you edit the Playing by the High Rules podcast. So I figured it wouldn't be an issue whatsoever, and you did a really, really good job, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I like doing it. It takes a lot of time to do it, but it's fun. I like doing it.
It takes a ton of time. Trust me. I know. Franklin, what's up with you, homie?
You know, just scarfing down some Taco Bell.
You got those naked chicken chips?
Yeah, look at this thing. Jalapeno sauce, get that instead of the nacho cheese. Trust me.
Just get something else entirely. Don't get the chicken chips.
Now we're that.
So, Frankie, we actually tried like a lot of big items this week. We had the Smoke Mountain from Arby's, which I believe I think we're in agreement that's the champion of the week. I tried the barbecue, the sweet barbecue chicken classic at McDonald's, their signature sandwich. I enjoyed that. And then we had the naked chicken chips, and I just was not a fan, dude. I know you're enjoying them. I just thought they were a little a little bland.
They are. That's why you got to get the jalapeno sauce with them instead of the cheese. Adds flavor. They're lacking flavor. That's my problem with them.
Yeah, that was my main thing. When I popped them in there, I was like, these just don't have it. It needs a supporting cast. Like when the naked chicken taco came out, it had everything in there. You could add bacon to it. It had the sauce, and everything was beautiful. It was a nice concoction. But when you take that chicken and put it solo, it just doesn't have the talent. But you know, you get
exactly.
That. You know, I seen somebody posted pictures. I think this is something somebody made at home, but they made like a Nacho Bel Grande with the chicken chips. I would eat that. Because if you put all the toppings on it, the lettuce, the tomato, the cheese, throw some jalapenos on that, I bet you that's actually pretty good.
No, wait, that's a real thing, actually. I think it's called the Chicken Star, but I saw that on the menu, too, and I thought about getting one, but that's what it is. It's a real thing.
I saw the Chickster, which was a wrap.
That's it.
Yeah, see, in Saginaw, the Chickster is a wrap with the naked chips inside of it. It wasn't actually like a Nacho Bel Grande.
Oh, I see.
I wish they would do a Nacho Bel Grande because I would eat that. That would actually, I mean, it would probably kill me, but I would eat that for sure. It just sounded good. The picture I saw, it looked like a Nacho Bel Grande with all the toppings. I was like, I could do that. That's got all the support it needs to be good.
I see. Probably someone just got the chips and just threw them in there then, right? We should just do that.
I'm just order the Bel Grande and then take all the chips out and then throw the. I like where your head's at. Actually, no, mix it in there. Mix them in there with the regular chips. You don't know which one you're gonna get until you bite into it. I like that.
Hey, there you go.
Boom.
Yeah. Roulette Bel Grande.
Oh, that sounds hot. Let's roll over to Mr. Boyce. Homie, my man, locking it down last week. What's going on?
Doing all right, man. I'm tired. It's been a very long week. So just looking forward to just a couple minutes here. We can just kind of relax and chill out for a minute. But made it through. Got Mother's Day on the docket for tomorrow. Another busy ass day. But yeah, I'm doing all right, man.
Yeah, I can feel you on being tired, dude. That's actually why I had to request last weekend off. I was having a difficult time. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and I don't know if this ever happens to our listeners, or even you guys, but for the last couple of weeks, I've been having a really hard time even wanting to play video games. It was bad. I'm not joking. I'd come downstairs from work. I'd go downstairs, I'd fire up my PS4 and my Xbox and whatever ones I was feeling, I'd hop into it, and I would just stare at the screen for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes at all the different games, and I wouldn't be able to play anything. I would just turn it off. And it was very disappointing, and it was a rough week, and I had to like take a break. I felt overwhelmed. Like I have so many games that have come out this year, and I'm looking at them all, and I'm just like, do I play this one? I started this one. I made the mistake of starting a lot of these games without finishing them, and now I'm just overwhelmed. So I had to go back to I had to step away for a weekend. I had some stuff going on that weekend, and I also just needed a break. I had to go back to my bread and butter. I had to go back and fire up a first-person shooter this week. Like on Monday, I was like, okay, look, I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to try to finish through a game. And I was like, I'm going to play Battlefield 1. I haven't gotten through the campaign, so I started playing that. I'm like on to the third chapter, and I'm focusing on that. I mean, obviously, Farpoint's out this week. I'm going to be playing Farpoint and get a video up, but I'm going to go back to Battlefield 1. I want to finish the game. I need to get back into it. I've just been overwhelmed, and it didn't help that we had so many games come out the first half of the year. I mean, it was really, really brutal. It was really tough, and I needed a break, dude. I was overwhelmed. I have so much stuff going on in my personal life. I have so much stuff going on in the gaming world. I have stuff going on everywhere, just like you guys do. And I was just tired. And so I appreciate Bender and Ben for holding it down last week. Like I said, you guys did a fantastic job. And I feel energized again. And I'm just thrilled to be back here with you guys. I miss you guys. And I'm ready to talk some video games. Boys, I know we got a lot of games coming out this week. What's coming out, man?
Yeah, definitely, man. And you know, Brent, before we get to the new releases, I wanna get Frankie in here because last week Bender and we talked about the reveal of Darksiders 3.
Oh yeah.
Which is a game that Franklin's been anticipating for a very, very long time. So, Frankie, I wanna give you a few minutes to take the floor here. Why don't you give us your thoughts on Darksiders 3 and what we've seen so far, man?
Yeah, so you guys, great segment, by the way, last week. I was listening to it. And yeah, as Bender, Darksiders 2 does take place during the events of Darksiders 1. Like you had mentioned, you weren't sure. Yes, like that's what that game was. So far from what we've seen of Darksiders 3, I think it looks great. Like Fury, it looks awesome. Her hair looks totally badass. Using that whip thing to traverse through the levels and just kind of watching how nimble she is, I think she'll be a really fun character to play. But there are a couple things that I don't want to say like red flags, but there are things that are I'm a little worried about. But I still like Bender. I know like the ending of Darksiders 1 didn't like hit you like it hit me, but that was like one of the video game endings that has stuck with me like over, 7 years now. That game came out in 2010, I think. I don't know why, but that just like the ending of Darksiders 1 was just so freaking epic, and then having Darksiders 2 still not like deliver on that, which has been like the biggest disappointment about Darksiders 2. It's not that it's a bad game. I don't even think people had a problem with the loot system. It was the fact that it wasn't a proper follow-up to the way that Darksiders 1 concluded. So I'm really bummed that Darksiders 3 still isn't like that conclusion, like what's going to happen after the end of Darksiders 1. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that's I don't know, because obviously it's pre-alpha gameplay. They're obviously not showing like her powers or anything else other than her basic attacks, but watching her swing that whip around, I don't see that being a fun mechanic to be spending 20-30 hours in a Darksiders game with. And like, yes, I understand like, War has a sword, and Death has all kinds of different scythes and all the other weapons that he's using, but just like watching her do the same like 3 animations during all that, I hope there's more variety to it than that. And the other thing, and this isn't really a concern because, they, as the week went on, they released more like longer gameplay demos that showed one of the boss fights. And one of the things that I was kind of bummed about was, Joe Madureira was the creative director for the first 2 Darksiders games. Boys, I'm sure you're familiar with his Uncanny X-Men, I believe he did, as well as some Ultimate Spider-Man comics, I think. So, really talented comic book artist. He's not on board with this game. He's actually with Airship Syndicate is his studio, which is a couple of the other core Vigil guys that aren't working on Darksiders 3, making Battle Chasers Night War, which also looks really awesome. So it's kind of sad to see that he's not involved with this, but like overall, I'm excited that it's coming back. I'm really happy that THQ Nordic had the forethought to put Gunfire Games in charge of this game. I'm really looking forward to like actually getting my hands on that thing and seeing if the gameplay is going to be something that's going to keep me entertained for the 20, 30, 40 hours, however long this game ends up being. But really excited. That's obviously jumped up my number one anticipated game of 2018. So really happy, man. Like overall, excited.
On the Joe Mads thing there too. I read this week that he actually was involved in the redesign of Fury for this game. So even though he's not the creative director or anything like that, he does have his thumbprint on this game a little bit, and I'm sure they have his blessing as well with where they're going with the franchise. So at least he's put his mark on Fury at the very least.
Nice.
So
That's good.
yeah, I think he redesigned the character to bring it more in line with the modern look and to tie her in with the other Darksiders as well. So so yeah, so me and Bender were talking about that last week, but I just thought it was I don't want to say hilarious, but the fact that this third Darksiders game is once again going to take place during the same timeline as the first two Darksiders games. So we're gonna get this third one, and then we'll get a fourth one with the fourth horseman, which will take place at the exact same time as the first three Darksiders games. And then maybe by the time we get to the fifth one, then we can continue on with the story that was started. It'll be 20, 30 years at that point when it was actually started. Brent, you weren't on the show last week either, man. What'd you think about Darksiders 3? What you saw of it?
I actually fired up the first one, the War Mastered Edition, earlier last week just to get a look at it because I know you guys were talking about 3, and it seemed pretty cool. War reminds me a lot of Kratos early on, just a lot of grunting and growling and just beating the hell out of everybody, obviously it plays a lot like God of War. And when I saw the trailer of 3, I think it looks really, really good. It seems to be running very, very well for an alpha. For the alpha, because it's alpha footage, looked really, really good. Pre-alpha. So, it looked great, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun, but I'm just not familiar with the franchise, the story, or anything like that. I need to play a little bit more of the War Mastered Edition to kind of get prepared for it. But what we saw in the trailer, gameplay-wise and technically speaking, it looked like it was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. So cool, yeah. So I'm the same boat as you, man. Like we talked about last week, don't have a lot of experience with the franchise. It is something I'd like to get into at some point, though. And Franklin, obviously excited about it. 2018, man. Probably looking at a late 2018 on that. I would guess, sometime in the fallish. I would guess.
That works for me.
Cool. So that's what's coming out in the future. Let's talk about what's coming out this week.
Ooh.
And gentlemen, we have an epic new release list this week. Just jam-packed with quality titles from top to bottom. This is going to go down as one of the best weeks in this year, potentially. And we've had a few weeks like this year. The week that Horizon and Zelda came out comes to mind. There's a week about a month ago in April where there must have been 10 or 12 digital games that all looked really, really good. So this is that kind of week that we're looking at here. We've got a ton of titles that look awesome, and we're gonna start off this week's release list with Farpoint. So this is the big time AAA first person virtual reality title we've been talking about for weeks and months now, ever since it was first unveiled at E3 or PlayStation Experience, wherever it was first unveiled. Don't remember at this point, but this is a game that's got a lot riding on it, and we've talked about this subject many times on the podcast here. But Farpoint has basically the weight of the virtual reality world on its shoulders. It is holding the torch for AAA first-person shooters, the biggest genre there is in video games. It's holding the torch for that in the virtual reality space. Nobody has conquered the AAA first-person shooter in virtual reality yet, and that's what Impulse Gear, the developer, is trying to achieve with Farpoint, and specifically with Farpoint coupled with the PlayStation Aim accessory, which you'll be able to get as part of a bundle with this game. Brent, I wanna come to you first on Farpoint. Like I said, man, we've been talking about this game for a really long time. It's finally coming out this Tuesday. What are you thinking right now, man? You got high expectations for this game?
High expectations, and like you mentioned, this game is shouldering a lot, and because we have had a lot of first person games in VR. Obviously, we've had games where you explore worlds and you make your way around maps, but nothing high octane like a first person shooter. And how well this game plays out will have a very big effect on first-person shooters going forward throughout the medium, regardless if it's on PSVR, HTC Vive, or Oculus, or whatever else come out down the line. But this is very important. This is really, really big, and it's also big for the PlayStation VR AIM. That's the peripheral that kind of just pulls you into a more immersive experience than just being there. I mean, you are one-to-one with the PSVR AIM. Like, you can look at the side of your gun, you can move it all around however you want to do it, and it'll reflect that in the game. You're aiming down the sights in the game. I mean, that just sounds awesome, and how well this is implemented here and how well this works could change the way things play out in the future when it comes to the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, the Battlefronts, Titanfalls, Destinies, all these games. If this works well here in this setting, that opens up a lot of doors, and it'll peak. I guarantee there's a lot of developers who are looking at this game this week and waiting to see how it turns out before they invest anything into using the PSVR AIM or any other peripheral like it. I mean, this is big for VR.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and we're going to talk more about this controller in a minute here. But Frankie, I want to go to you now. Your thoughts on Farpoint arriving this week? Your thoughts on this game shouldering the AAA first-person shooter genre on its back, and what do you think about this whole PS AIM thing, man?
Yeah, I mean, like Brent said, I'm really excited about this game. It looks freaking cool. I don't know if it's just me, but like this month for like sci-fi games, it's amazing. I'm having a great time right now. But yeah, dude, I can't wait. Like getting in that headset and like Brent said, just like sitting there and actually truly feeling like you're actually moving your gun around and actually being a part of the action. I cannot wait to experience that. That's one of the things I bought VR for. This has been one of the things that I've been waiting for. Like, yes, it's been awesome getting in and playing things like Valkyrie, Battlezone, the Star Wars VR stuff, getting to do all the dogfighting. That's great, but a proper first-person shooter in VR has been a long time coming. So I'm like you guys, very curious to see how this thing does, how well it's received, how well everything works with it. So very excited. Can't wait to get a chance to like check out the co-op, see how all that stuff works. You know, like I have so many questions that I just cannot wait to find out about this week.
Mm-hmm. Bender, you be able to stomach that giant spider bearing down on you, man?
I hope so. I pre-ordered the bundle, so I'll be getting it on Tuesday. I'm definitely looking forward to jumping in, seeing what this game's all about. I hope it turns out good, but I'm in either way, so we'll have to wait and see. But I look forward to experiencing it and then talking about it with you guys, and hopefully it'll set a precedent for future first-person games in VR, and hopefully it'll be a cool game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I have really high expectations for this game right now. Everything I've read about it has led me to have those expectations at this point. Some of the hands-on stuff has also led me to think really highly of how this game is going to turn out. So I'm really, really excited to get my hands on Farpoint, get into this virtual reality world, and experience it with this new controller that they've come up with. And I don't know if you guys saw it this week, but they had a really good post on the PlayStation blog this week where they dove into a little bit of the nitty-gritty details behind this new peripheral that they designed for this game, and talked about the kind of the philosophy behind the design. And there's some really interesting stuff. If you get a chance, there's a short video. It's 3-4 minutes on the PlayStation blog that goes into some of the developers' thoughts on developing this device. But just in even down to how you hold the gun inside of Farpoint and how they design the guns inside of that game world. They design them so that you have to hold them like you hold the PlayStation aim controller. So you're going to be holding assault rifles and pulse rifles or whatever types of guns. There probably won't be any like hand cannon, so to speak. Like, you're going to be holding guns the way that you're holding this controller, so that it mimics that feel, that immersion that they're going for with this unit. They talked about developing this thing to be really lightweight, really intuitive, in so much that you just pick up the controller and you just already know what to do just by the way it feels. So I really like what I'm hearing about this device, and they have some other developers that are excited about using it. There's already some other games that are confirmed to use this device, so we've got that to look forward to in the near future here. But Brent, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about what you've seen about this aim controller? Is it when it's all said and done, even above and beyond the quality of Farpoint itself, is the PlayStation aim controller, is this going to be kind of the defining factor of whether this game takes first person shooters and virtual reality to the next level, do you think?
I think it does for the sake of needing a peripheral, because I mean when you play a first person shooter in VR, I'm sure you can play it with a DualShock 4, but I think for immersion and to really, really get you involved. I mean, you do it. I was reading some previews on this game. This might be one of those VR games that actually gets me off my fat ass and has me standing and playing it, simply because like these people are talking about when they're in there, they're blind firing behind cover, they're ducking down like as they're playing, they're getting down and then just doing this. I mean, they're blind firing like they would in a game, but the peripheral itself, the VR aim, just adds to it. It puts you more into that experience, and that's what I'm really excited about. Like I said, normally when I play VR stuff, I sit down. I'm going to stand up for this. I want to really get into this. I want to commit to it 100%, and that's what I'm really excited about this thing, man. And I think the VR aim allows you to do that. It gives you that opportunity to really get into what's going on.
Yeah. When they say 1-to-1, like they mean 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Like you're ducking, you're curving around cover, like you're holding the gun, tilting it sideways, like all of that is reflected in the game world. So that just sounds really, really immersive, and I almost can't even imagine it until I actually get this thing into my hands. So even more so than Farpoint itself, I think at this point is I'm really excited to see how this peripheral works out. Frankie, did you end up getting the bundle, or are you just going with the game at this point?
Actually, I'm waiting for Amazon to get a restock, because I was just going to buy the game, but if I'm going to buy this, I want to play it the way it was meant to be played,
yeah.
so I'm waiting for Amazon to get their restock, which I'm sure will be on launch day, which is fine. I have some other stuff I'm doing anyways. Cool.
Yeah. Bender, you're in for the bundle. Are you excited to get your hands on this new controller, man, and see how this could change, shooters in a VR setting?
Yeah, definitely. It's a pretty exciting prospect, so I'm definitely looking forward to jumping in on Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. So that's Farpoint. It finally launches this Tuesday.
One last thing I want to add, boys. So I'm sorry to cut you off. The one thing I want to add, and look, I think the PSVR aim, it looks good, and I'm sure it'll be really good to use. It's ergonomical, and it's from the button placement is ideal for everything. But to me, the sharpshooter will always be the de facto, the best one. I thought the sharpshooter looked... Dude, they had the adjustable stock. That thing was badass. The sharpshooter was badass. That thing was sweet as hell, and I appreciate the PSVR aim, and it works, but I really wish you could go back and use the sharpshooter with this, because the sharpshooter was sweet as hell.
Interesting that you mentioned that, Brent, but when they designed the aim controller, this is a quote from this article here from Takeshi Igarashi. We first began working on the aim controller when we got the idea that using a weapon-type controller to play a PSVR shooting game will make it a much more immersive experience. Initially, we attached a DualShock 4 to the PS3 sharpshooter to explore what sort of form factor, weight balance, and button arrangements work best to make it more intuitive. So they actually fired up the sharpshooter when they were designing this thing, and kind of worked off that as kind of their their foundation or their catalyst for the design of this thing. So
that thing was so badass. I love the sharpshooter.
So there's going to be some sharpshooter in here, man.
Okay.
And somebody actually down here in the comments, let me see if I can find it here. Somebody actually asked about using the sharpshooter. It's must not be in this post, but somebody asked about using the sharpshooter with Farpoint, about putting the Move controller in there, and they said that they don't see why it wouldn't work. So maybe you'll be able to use that in this game.
Oh my god!
Maybe you can pull it out, dude.
Dude, I'll have it out. I'll try it, and if it works, I'm gonna be so happy.
Yeah, I'll be looking for that comparison video between the PS aim and the sharpshooter.
We show the PS aim, and it's steady and spot on. I use the sharpshooter; it's all over the screen. Be like, well, I mean, it kind of works if you're a spray and pray type. So
yeah. So cool. So that's Farpoint. It'll be out this Tuesday. We're all excited about it. I mean, this is something the industry is excited about too. I know a lot of eyes are locked onto this title, so I can't wait to see how this one turns out. Now, moving on from Farpoint, I threw you guys a bone, and we started with Farpoint because that's the game that everybody's excited about. But the true biggest title that's releasing this week is Injustice 2. And let's just call it a spade here. So Injustice 2 is arriving this week after months of build-up, weeks of build-up, and now I've mentioned this before on the show, but Boone and NetherRealm did a tremendous job in the build up to this game. They constantly had this game in the headlines. They were constantly revealing new characters. There was always new information coming out, always new live streams that they were doing to build up excitement for the game. The game's on the Evo lineup coming up, so the fighting community is excited about it. So they really marketed this game correctly. There's a lot of hype behind it. A lot of people are excited to get their hands on it, and I'm one of them. And I think Injustice 2 looks totally rad from what we've seen. I can't wait to see how they can continue on with this just absurd storyline that they're doing in this game. It's basically like superhero violent porn is basically what it comes down to. But it's the combat looks incredible, 60 frames, fast paced. It's got that trademark Mortal Kombat, Injustice, NetherRealm feel to it with the fast paced, quick combos and whatnot that we've come to expect over the years. I'm really excited to see how the gear system works in this game, and I really hope, I forgot who suggested this, but if they implement something like an Iron Banner for Injustice 2 that takes into account what gear you've collected over the course of the game, that's going to make this thing even more addicting. So I'm really excited to get into this. I'm picking mine up on Tuesday. Franklin, you're the other resident fighting fan out here. Talk to me about Injustice 2, man.
Yeah, like you, I'm really excited. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to pick it up this week just because I'm in the middle of so many games right now that I'm not going to have time to touch Injustice for a while. But I'm looking forward. Obviously, I'm assuming you're maybe going to stream it. You probably should stream it. I mean,
I will be streaming it this week. We haven't locked down the details yet, but more than likely, we have some things we're planning for Tuesday. So Wednesday looks like the likely day for the Injustice 2 stream.
Wonderful. But yeah, I can't wait to see that thing in action. The one thing I really loved about the first Injustice game, outside of how awesome the story was, but they don't do fatalities, but as you're fighting, you build up your meter, and they have these really crazy special moves they do.
Oh yeah.
You have like Flash running around the globe and punching someone in the face. Just the over the top stuff that they're going to have these characters doing. Cannot wait to see some of this stuff, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and that's what this game's all about, man. It's absurd. It's just insane superhero fantasy stuff at its finest. Like you said, from running around the world to punching you in the face to people flying up into space and throwing you back down to earth. I mean, it's there's some wild stuff in Injustice, and I love it for that. They really they get a chance to just cut loose in this game, and it's really cool to watch and really cool to play. The character lineup I think is really strong in this game. There's a lot of really cool DC classic characters in this game that I can't wait to get in there and learn the ins and outs of. Bender, what do you think, man? You gonna pull the trigger on Injustice 2? You gonna join the fighting festivities? You gonna become one of us?
I don't know if I'll buy it, but I might rent it, get it from GameFly or something, check it out, play through the story, and then because I don't think it's going to be something I'm going to consistently play, but I do want to check it out, play all the different characters, and see all the different moves and everything. But it seems like it's cool. I do like the characters that they've shown. I just don't know if it's something I would consistently play.
But Bender, you have to find another game to school JD in.
I don't know. I don't know if I could.
That's a compelling point.
Very intriguing.
Well, I'll, for what it's worth, I'll be able to school JD in this.
Oh my!
Them's fighting words. Literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's like taking candy
words
from a baby.
Well, if he plays fighting games like he does Halo 5, that thing will be over quick, so don't worry, boys. I think you'll own him.
JD's going to get his just desserts in Street Fighter 2 next week, so he'll have plenty of fighting stuff to go around, so he can look forward to that. But back to Injustice 2. Bender, Injustice 2 definitely is a time requirement. It's a big commitment to try and get good at a fighting game. It takes a lot. But the cool thing about Injustice 2 is it's got this over the top superhero story. So even if you just went in and went through the story mode, I think you'd probably enjoy it, just seeing all the crazy stuff that they go through in there. So at the very least, give that a whirl. Now, Brent, Robert Englund is the voice of Scarecrow. It's been confirmed. So I'll see you in the GameStop line on Tuesday, right?
I'll be at the GameStop on Monday, actually, and
Yeah, Monday
not
with that
getting
Steelbook.
Injustice 2. Not getting Injustice 2.
He's getting Injustice too.
Get out of here.
He'll see it.
Franklin.
He'll see it on the shelf and be like, "Yeah, man, we got one left."
One
He'll
Steelbook
be like-
left. I'm like, no.
He'll be like,
This is coming from the guy that bought both collector's editions for Mortal Kombat X. Both of them.
"Didn't you buy the Street Fighter V collector's edition?"
And he bought
too?
the Street Fighter V collector's edition. 3 collector's editions for games that you despise.
But I mean it this time. This
Okay.
time.
All right, buddy. We'll see how that all works out. So, Injustice 2 arrives this Tuesday. I will have it. I will be streaming it this week. Like I said, right now it looks like Wednesday night is probably the stream for it. Have to decide how we want to do the stream for this game. I don't know if I want to do the story stuff or maybe just get in there and do some online battling. That's always fun to watch. So we'll decide how we want to do that. You know, the story mode's not super long, so I don't really want to spoil the whole story for people. But we'll figure out how we want to get in there and do it. But look out for that this week. It'll be on our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. So look out for that. And the big titles keep on rolling here. Let's get into the Surge now, fellas. This is the next game from Deck 13, the team behind Lords of the Fallen. So obviously that was a Souls-like game that a lot of people really liked. I don't think I ever got out of the first room in that game. That's how bad I was at Lords of the Fallen. But it seemed like it was a cool game, and it's something that a lot of people enjoy that like that kind of game. So this is their follow-up to Surge. And I'll tell you what, man, from what we've seen of this game, this looks like this is going to be a hell of a follow-up. The Surge looks like it's coming along nicely. They've created this really cool sci-fi world. It looks to be have some fast-paced combat. Franklin, you are reviewing this game for us, so you'll have a review for the Surge sometime in the future. It's a tough game. It's going to take you a while to get through it. We totally understand that. But now the review embargo has not lifted. But just talk to us a little bit about the Surge, man. What can we expect out of this game without giving us your verdict on it?
Yeah, so I hadn't played Lords of the Fallen, so I don't have like that comparison point to their last game. But as a fan of Dark Souls 3, I can tell you that if you like Dark Souls 3 combat, if you like the idea of how Bloodborne works, you get to go around, open up shortcuts, all the Souls stuff that you probably come and either enjoy or hate. That's expect that in the Surge. The only thing I'll maybe say to kind of show a little bit of my hand is I was really kind of worried about this game coming in. Like I was excited about it, but keeping my expectations in check, and honestly, like it's actually met and kind of exceeded what I was expecting coming in so far. Whatever you want to take from that, but yeah, if you're a fan of the Souls games, you're probably gonna have a good time with the Surge.
So what's the world like, Frankie? Are we in like a dystopian future? What's the setting of the Surge?
So, I believe it's. I almost want to say it's almost like the size of an island, but you're actually in this cryo research facility. It's massive. Like this is a massive facility. So you're essentially kind of working your way through the different areas of this big facility, which I thought this was in space before. Like I wasn't totally sure, but yeah, it's just this giant, huge facility.
Okay. Is it like a futuristic type of setting? Is this like a present day type of thing? I mean, are we gonna see stuff that we wouldn't normally see in a present day setting?
When I saw the trailer, I thought it looked a lot like the movie District 9. That's what I got, or like
Yeah.
Elysium. Like that's the type of
Yeah.
like the vibe I got from the
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah, you have kind of like when you're in the outside, it's sort of like a little wastelandy, but otherwise, like inside, like you're just in this giant. Think of like a robotics factory, because that's essentially what this company is. Like they manufacture these high end chips and have these they're called exosuits that they're building for people to wear that you end up wearing. So they're kind of like a futuristic tech company. So you're essentially kind of working your way through there because some kind of event has happened and all these different exosuits and like suits people are wearing and all kinds of things have just gone wrong. Like you're basically just kind of going through and trying to understand what exactly happened to cause this to happen. So you have all these rogue AI robots and everything running around this facility waiting to kick your ass.
Nice. So, mechanically speaking, like the way the game plays, is this just like a Souls game through and through? Are we talking just like basically everything that we've come to expect from that genre is how you can expect the Surge to play? Is there anything new and unique that they're throwing in there for this that you've seen so far?
So, like for my comparison's sake, I've only dabbled with a little bit. Well, maybe 5, 6, 7 hours of Dark Souls 3. But when you're playing Dark Souls 3, it's very cryptic in how you have to do things. Like I didn't even know how to set like quick items or anything like that. Um, even like doing all the attacks, learning everything in that game, it's very cryptic. You're learning as you go. The Surge is also that, but like if you're familiar with those games, the combat's very much the same. You're basically going to be using R1, R2, or right trigger, right bumper for your attacks. Instead, like the Souls games have a heavy and a light attack. This one, your R1 or your trigger or not your trigger, your bumper is going to do like a vertical attack, and or no, that's a horizontal attack, and R2 or the trigger is like a vertical attack. But the cool thing about it is actually, Brent, you know this as well. You've dabbled with some of these games. How important it is to lock on enemies and being able to like move around. So, in the vein of the Souls games, if you come across a group of enemies, you're going to kind of want to try to draw them one at a time towards you. But the cool thing about this is when you lock onto people in this game, you moving the right stick around, you can target different parts of them. So typically there's going to be like something that's not covered, whether they're not wearing a helmet or their body's exposed or an arm or a leg. You can focus on that limb and do a lot more damage to them and take them out a lot quicker. But otherwise, one of the cool mechanics about the game is essentially if you're facing this dude who has this big ass drill for an arm that he's swinging at you and trying to take you down with, if you focus on that limb, wear him down, eventually you're able to perform an execution. You can chop that limb off and you can actually go and craft that weapon to use for yourself.
Oh, wow.
Like,
That's
it,
sweet.
it is super badass. The first couple of times you get a chance to try that out, like it's a really cool mechanic.
Nice.
But
that's a nice little twist.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, we went over to Frankie there. I just the more and more I've seen of this game, I think the better and better it's looked. And hearing that it's a 60 frames game and the way that it runs and the stuff that Frankie was talking about, I've read some of that stuff too. Some of these cool mechanics that they're adding into the game. Even if you don't get it this week, dude, where are you at on the Surge? You got to be a little more excited about this game when you were when we first heard about it, right?
Dude, I'm insanely excited for this game. Like, really, really excited for this game. And the previews we've read, have echoed what Frankie has said. The high performance, on the Pro, which is nice because in a game like this, I do want high performance. I want the frame rate over the resolution, especially in combat. And these twists on the mechanics, targeting limbs, kind of bringing in that the Dead Space type of mechanic. Injured, take out his leg, maybe that slows him down. Take out his arm, maybe he can't do as much damage to you without that weapon. It's just all these different things. It sounds really, really interesting. And like I said, I love the setting. I love the dystopian future. Like I said, I got heavy vibes of like District 9 and Elysium, 2 movies that I think are really, really good. I love those movies, and this is what I kind of got from watching this trailer. Combat looks good. I don't know what the story's like. Obviously, we got to wait for Frankie's review to get his thoughts on the actual story, the quality of it, but the premise or the promise is there, the potential is there. I want to get this game really, really bad, so I'm going to focus on Farpoint, and then, maybe towards the end of the month, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, dude, I do the same thing every time with these games. Like, I get really excited about these Souls games because they always look badass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dark Souls is sweet. Bloodborne's awesome. Neo is an awesome game. And The Surge looks awesome as well. But, these games require a massive time commitment to get in there and, like, figure out the mechanics and then get good to use the often used meme for these games. But to actually get good at these games takes a very long time, and it requires a patience that I haven't been able to display yet in these titles. No matter how much I like them or how much I think, or no matter how cool I think they are, like I would love to just sit down and play through Bloodborne. That'd be awesome. Just sit down here, learn that game, and just play through it. I don't have the time, and I just don't have the patience at this moment in my life, and it's frustrating because I feel like these games are like games that should speak to me and are ones that I should be playing through all the time, but I just haven't been able to yet. And The Surge is another one that looks really, really cool. Looks more and more cool that every time I look at it, I just don't know that I have the time and patience for it right now, and it's a little bit depressing.
Yeah.
Bender, you're a sci-fi fan. I know you're not into the Souls games, but this if there were a game that would drag you into this genre and get you to test it out, it seems like it would be this game. What do you think about the Surge, dude?
It actually looks like a pretty cool game. I like the whole vibe, the whole aesthetic of it, and the sci-fi stuff and everything. It looks pretty cool. So I'll definitely have to wait for Frankie's review and see if he liked it, and if he did, then might be something I'll want to check out at some point.
The other thing I want to mention, and this was also something I learned with Dark Souls, actually Bloodborne too, even, but as you're playing these games and kind of opening up the map and you open up all these shortcuts, like you don't have a physical map anywhere. You need to figure out where you are, learn the area, like figure out where shortcuts are going to take you. But with any of these games, the second you get to the boss fights, you get your ass kicked, and you're like, I need to get back in there. I just want to get back in there and mess that guy up. So then what I constantly find myself doing is, you respawn, you go back to these, wherever, bonfire, medical bay, whatever you're going to be respawning from. But I try to like make a beeline for the boss then, because I'm just like jacked up, like, dude, I want to go wreck this guy, and getting back there is like when I start getting impatient. So that's when I start fighting sloppily. I get to the boss, I've already burned up, 4 or 5 med kits. So
doesn't it
rough.
benefit you to like farm those enemies leading up to the boss? Like kind of get the scrap or get the XP, whatever you can from them, and then rank your guy up, and then go back to the boss? Or I mean, is that the long way to do it? Like you're investing a lot of time. Is it better to farm, or do you just man, I'm going after this dude with what I got. I'll kill anybody along the way, and when I get there, I'll get there.
Honestly, I haven't done a lot of farming personally, because I don't. The way that this one works, actually, and I don't know if Dark Souls has a similar mechanic, but Lords of the Fallen had this too, I think, where you die, you have 2.5 minutes to get back to where you dropped, your souls, your scrap, whatever. To get back there, pick that up without losing any of it. But like if you die somewhere, you're pretty far away, you have a pretty hefty amount of enemies to get past. It's harder to farm. So, and if you're like me and like I get to a point where I have a fairly reasonable amount, I'll head back, because with this game you're doing all your upgrades in this medical bay, but going back there causes everyone to respawn. So
right.
Building up a hefty amount and trekking all the way back there, it just I often like worry I'm going to take a wrong turn, end up in some other corridor, forget how I got there,
right,
fall off the level and die anyways. So, man, yeah, done that a couple times.
Yeah, I feel like that's a classic Souls mechanic. In my limited experience with the titles, but I know in Bloodborne and in Neo, you would want to go to the altar or whatever it was in each of those games and spend your points and rank your character up and get your skills up. And it was always a give and take. It was like if you did that, then you had to go back through the level again or whatnot. But I feel like early on in those games, you kind of almost have to do that to kind of start to build your character up a little bit and get some of those abilities into the game. But yeah, dude, the Surge looks rad. It looks like it's going to be a really cool Souls game. So we'll look forward to your full review sometime in the near future.
Someday.
Make sure you stay tuned to the website, or we'll see how long it takes Frankie to get through this title, so you can get a review up for us. All right, now those are the 3 big AAA games that are coming out this week. Now let's get into the digital titles, and there's some slam dunk titles in here as well. We're going to start off with Shadow Warrior 2, which is a Friday release. This one just snuck onto the schedule all of a sudden for consoles this week. It's one I've been looking forward to for a long time. I know, Brent, you've been looking forward to it for a long time. Frankie, you as well, for this game to come over to consoles. It looks really, really cool on the PC. It's like fast-paced, melee plus gun combat. It looks like a really, really fun game to play. And this one, of course, picked this week to come out of all weeks in May. You chose this week with all these other Dynamite titles coming out. So Brent, Lo Wang is back to continue his adventures here with Shadow Warrior 2. You picking this up, man?
I actually had this on PC. I bought it on PC when it came out, and I played through the first a couple of chapters, and Wang is just like the typical anti-hero. He's just an asshole. Like he's got quips, he's got one-liners, he's a dick to people. People were trying to help him, he's a jerk to them. But the combat is fluid, it's fun, it's exciting. Like you said, it's a mixture of like using katana blades. You also got a pistol, you can pick up other weapons so you can flop between them. And it's just a high-octane game with a story that's just absurd but hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wang is just, like I said, he's just the hero that doesn't want to be a hero, but damn it, he's going to be the hero. And from what I had played, it was really, really good on PC. So the fact that this is coming out to consoles, very enticing. But I've played it. I have it on PC. I don't have the Surge. If I'm going to get anything this week extra, it's going to be the Surge. But this game, from what I have played, is really, really fun. And if you're on consoles and you've been waiting for it, and it's something that you might be interested in, check out the trailer. If you're sold on the trailer, you're gonna like the game.
Well, I'm sold on the trailer, so I definitely need to pick this up at some point in the future. The other cool thing too, Shadow Warrior 2 will net you the first Shadow Warrior on the PS4 as well when you pick it up this week. So
oh really?
You get both of them in a package, for
nice.
free, which is cool. Frankie, just looking at this game, this seems like the perfect palate cleanser after the Surge. I mean, the Surge is going to be a kind of a calculated, strategic, just tough journey through this facility that you're working your way through. Shadow Warrior 2 seems like the opposite. It's like, hey, let's go grab Wang and just shoot up a bunch of dudes, cut up a bunch of dudes, and not have to think too much about it. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think this one actually has co-op, if I'm not mistaken. So, kind of hope at some point, maybe after Brent makes his way through the Surge someday, after we've all done that, we go hop in and chop some people up in Shadow Warrior 2.
Yeah, that sounds. I didn't even know this had co-op.
Yes. Here we go. While it's no doubt fun to go at it solo, Shadow Warrior 2 really shines when you have 3 friends tackling missions together and working as a team to take down some of the larger enemies, larger boss enemies together. So, there you go.
Now that makes it even
4-player
tougher.
co-op. 4-player co-op.
Jeez.
So, yeah. So we should definitely play through this at some point together. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
I'd be totally down for that because this game does look. This looks like the type of game where I can just come down here after a long day and I don't have to think about nothing. I can just shoot dudes and have a good time with it. So Shadow Warrior 2, that's a Friday release. It'll be out on Xbox One as well, which we'll talk about here shortly. All right, let's move on with this list here. Seasons After Fall is going to be the Tuesday night indie spotlight this week. This game looks incredibly beautiful. It's a hand-painted side-scroller. Looks like it's got some Metroidvania elements. It's got this really cool season-changing puzzle mechanic where you can change between the summer and the winter and the fall and the spring to solve some of the different puzzles in the game. I think it's a really novel-sounding mechanic. I've admired this game from afar on PC for a while now. So excited that it's finally making its way over to consoles. And I think this game looks really good. Bender, this seems like something you get into, man. What do you think about Seasons After Fall?
Yeah. I remember we talked about this one on the last episode. It definitely looks interesting with the hand-painted art style and the puzzle platforming and the ability to change the seasons and everything and manipulate the world. I think that's really cool. So I'm definitely gonna have to check this one out.
Yeah. So Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel. That's Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. I'll be on there playing Seasons After Fall. We'll fire it up, see what it's all about. But I'm really, really excited to play this one. I've played some great titles on the Indie Spotlight this year, but having a really good time with it. And this looks like this is gonna continue that trend. Just some really fantastic downloadable titles have been peppered throughout this year, in addition to these big AAA joints. It's been a really fantastic year for gaming so far, and I can't wait to play this one on Tuesday. All right, let's get through the rest of this release list here, or we'll be here all day. But this is, like I said, there's some really killer looking games on here. Skylar and Pluck's Adventure on Clover Island is a 3D platformer. It looks to be inspired by Ratchet and Clank. Actually, looks like it runs at 60 frames. This game actually looks really, really good in motion. This is a Friday release, May 19th, but if you're a platformer fan, keep your eye on this one. Black and White Bushido. This is another game that looks totally kick-ass. It's a it's a tower fall, like 4-player arena brawler type of game, but the black and white Bushido mechanic with the samurais and it's this really striking art style. It looks just incredibly awesome in motion. I really want to play this game. This one comes out on Wednesday. Chroma Squad. I got to read.
Question.
Yes.
Question. Is this
Answer.
going to be local co-op or online co-op?
Are you talking about
believe-
Bushido?
Yeah.
Bushido.
It supports online.
Yeah, I was gonna say I believe it's
Really?
online.
Yeah, because Xbox. I saw the listing on Xbox, and there's an online for it.
Somebody gets it finally, boys. Somebody gets it.
Somebody finally gets it. Yes. Yeah, we always beg for these games, and I know it's I know it's not as simple as just slapping
Right.
online on these games. These independent studios don't have all the money to throw around for an online mode for a lot of these games. But damn it, it's really, really tough to play a 4-player local multiplayer game with my 7-year-old son and my 5-year-old son. I'd much rather play with you and Frankie and Bender, and it's difficult to do that when there's not online co-op. So hopefully there's online co-op on here. I don't have any definitive information on that, but Franklin, you said you saw on Xbox that it'd be online, so hopefully that's the case. If not, though, PS4 Pro Share Play, we can get the full 60 frames on Share Play if we want to give it a whirl. All right, let's talk about Chroma Squad now. This is a tactical RPG. Here's the description for this game. Chroma Squad is a tactical RPG about 5 stunt actors who decide to quit their jobs and start their own Power Rangers inspired TV show.
Oh no.
So this is a like turn-based strategy tactical RPG game about these guys who are basically like Power Rangers. They got the mechs and the Zords and they're fighting all these crazy villains, and it looks like an absurd game. It actually looks really, really fun. So keep your eye on that if you're a Power Rangers fan or if you're a strategy RPG fan. Defenders of Ekron, another really good looking game. It's like a shoot 'em up space game. Got a cool graphical art style. Looks to be pretty difficult. Bullet hell style. That one, if you're a shoot 'em up fan, keep your eye out. Akiba's Beat. This is the latest in the Akiba series. This is much different than Akiba's Trip, which was a really over the top, risque like brawler that was released a year or two ago. This one's much more serious. It's not as risque. But it takes place in the same world. It has all new characters, though. So if you're looking to get into the Akiba series, this is a good jumping on point. This will be out both digitally and at retail this week. Arcade Archive's latest Neo Geo joint, Overtop, is making its way over to PS4. The racing title, Baya Latino, the dancing game. This is like Just Dance kind of a game. It'll be available both digitally and at retail this week. Future Unfolding, another really, really good looking title. This one also looks like it's hand painted, or it's got a really striking visual style. It's this top down exploration puzzle game. I don't know exactly how it plays, but it's really beautiful and it's really intriguing. This is another one that I would like to fire up at some point. Tango Fiesta is a an over-the-top 80s action hero twin stick shooter. Looks like a good bit of fun. And how about this? The Black Ops 3 Zombie Chronicles DLC also arrives this week. So this, we talked about on the last show. This is a reality now, and it's coming out quick. So quick that it's coming out this week. So in a week with so much cool stuff going on, this other really cool DLC decides to drop on us. Zombie Chronicles, of course, remasters 8 zombies maps from World at War and the first 2 Black Ops games, and puts them into the Black Ops 3 engine or into that game. So you basically get the whole entire zombie saga in Black Ops 3. And I tell you what, Brent, watching the trailer for this game makes me really want to go and play this now because zombies is a good bit of fun, and to have the whole entire saga right there in Black Ops 3 is pretty neat, man. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Zombie Chronicles that a go for you this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up just because I know I got a couple buddies that still play zombies and they're really stoked about this. And I think it's cool that they're doing this. They're bringing all the zombies back. They're bringing all the maps that are depending on the story that explains the actual zombie story. I'm kind of disappointed 5 isn't making it in there. I really like that map with the Pentagon. I thought that was a great map. But these are just like the maps that pertain to the story. So that's awesome. I mean, you're bringing a lot of maps back, and you can play through them all the way from start to finish now on one console. You don't have to worry about going back to the PS3 or Xbox 360. This is great. I think this is awesome.
Yeah, and this is a testament to the staying power of Black Ops 3,
Mm-hmm.
which has continued to dominate the hearts and minds of Call of Duty fans, even in the face of Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered both being out there. Black Ops 3 continues to maintain a very healthy user base, and this is a testament to that. The fact that they're going back, they're remastering these zombies maps, they're bringing them out to the Black Ops 3 crowd. So kudos to them for doing that for the fans. But yeah, this looks sweet. I'm gonna pick this up as well. I think it looks like a ton of fun. So I definitely want to play this at some point this week. Also on the DLC front, Sword Art Online Hollow Realization Chapter 1 Explorer of Illusory Mists. Say that 5 times fast. That DLC will be out this week, so if you're a Sword Art fan, make sure you check that out. All right, so that gets us through the PS3, PS4 releases. On the Vita side of things, a very robust lineup for the Vita this week. Akiba's Beat is coming out over there as well, both digitally and at retail. Demo, The Last Recital. This game looks awesome. Like, I really want to play this game. This is that narrative rhythm game. So it's got this really deep narrative attached to it, but it's also a rhythm game at its heart with a really cool cartoony art style. This is definitely one to keep your eye on. Demo hits the Vita this week. Hakauki Kyoto Wins is the latest visual novel coming over to Vita. That'll be available digitally and at retail. Operation Babel New Tokyo Legacy, once again available digital and at retail. This is a action dungeon crawler RPG game. So if you're into those, if you played Operation Abyss, this is the sequel to that. And Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas, coming over to Vita this week on Wednesday. This is a game that was actually pretty lauded when it came out on consoles earlier last year, and it's drawn comparison. It's obviously heavily inspired by Zelda, specifically Wind Waker. So if you're into those games, this is probably a good one to check out, and I imagine this is going to be awesome. I watched some videos of it in action on the Vita. It looks awesome.
Is this
So,
a cross-buy?
Don't know if it's cross-buy or not.
No.
I haven't
No, it's
confirmed
not?
that.
Okay.
Nope.
There you go. No, it's not. Don't know what the price is on this. It wasn't very expensive on the PS4 though, so I don't imagine it'll be too expensive on the Vita. But I mean, Brent, wouldn't you agree? This seemed like an awesome title to have on the Vita.
Oh yeah, I played a little
Yeah.
bit on the PS4, and it
Yeah.
was a really nice looking game, and I was like to
Mhm.
myself, like, this would be a nice fit on the Vita.
So awesome that one's making its way out this week. Good for the Vita, man. Really strong week for the Vita. All right, let's get into the Xbox One now. Coming this week, Injustice 2 and The Surge, of course, will be there. Seasons After Fall comes out on the platform on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Black and White Bushido's there as well, alongside Tango Fiesta and Mr. Pumpkin's Adventure, which is a point-and-click adventure game. A Walk in the Dark is a Friday release. It's an Xbox Play Anywhere title, and I mean, this is another game. This just looks really good. It has the same graphical stylings as Feist, if you
Mm.
remember that game from last year. A really striking looking title that has elements of Limbo in it. But yeah, these dark silhouettes contrasted against these kind of pastel or brighter backdrops. There looks to be some puzzle mechanics with this cat and this girl character that you control in this game. But if you have an Xbox, definitely keep your eye on A Walk in the Dark this Friday. This could be a sleeper hit. Mayan Death Robots Arena, the arena fighting game, will be out on Friday. A Whole New World is out on Friday as well on the platform. This is another pretty cool looking title. A Whole New World is basically it's like an 8-bit Castlevania type of game, where with a really interesting mechanic where if you go in any of the pits in the game, you come into this kind of reverse mirror world where everything's upside down. So, and you use this mechanic to solve puzzles and fight enemies and make your way through the game. It's got a really cool 8-bit art style. That's another one to keep your eye on. Shadow Warrior 2 is also coming to Xbox One on Friday, and Skylar and Plux Adventure on Clover Island, another Friday title for the Xbox One. So a very strong lineup on that platform as well. Let's get into Nintendo now. What we missed last week on the Switch, Dark Witch Music episode, Rudymichael, not sure how to say this, is on the eShop now for $7.99. And Arcade Archives, Neo Geo, Guru, Mark of the Wolves, the excellent Fatal Fury game, is on there for $7.99 as well. This week on the Switch, Thumper, a short pause favorite, is going to be on there for $20 on Thursday. Game's going to run at 60 frames in handheld mode, which is sweet. And another note here, the standalone dock for the Switch is supposed to be available this Friday, May 19th. So if you got $90 burning a hole in your pocket, hey, go buy a new dock for your Switch.
Limited
on the
quantities.
yeah, limited quantities if you can find one, which is honestly shocking at $90 how they would just be selling out of these things, but whatever. Coming to the Wii U, didn't miss anything last week. This week, the awesome named Pinball will be on there on Thursday. On the 3DS, we hit everything last week, and a big title, Fire Emblem Echoes: Shadows of Valentia, will be hitting this Friday. It's got the limited edition as well. Some of the DLC will be available alongside the game as well. The Fledgling Warriors pack is on there for $7.99. You can shell out $45 for the season pass if you so choose, which is insane. Alm and Celica, their Amiibo 2-pack is also scheduled to release Friday alongside the game. So if you are a collector of those things, go ahead and make that happen. Bender, you picking this up, man? This is going to be your entry into the Fire Emblem series?
I don't know. I'll think about it, but wasn't really planning on getting it right away.
That's a no. That's a no, ladies and gentlemen. Cooking Mama Sweet Shop is also hitting the 3DS on Tuesday. Mysterious Stars 3D Road to Idols is an eShop title this Thursday, and Dodgebox, the latest $1.50 gem to hit the 3DS, is a Thursday title. All right, Brent, that brings us to the end of a very, very strong new releases list.
Indeed. Man, I tell you what, going down that last stretch of that list there, you said Cooking Mama Sweet Shop. I thought it was Cooking Mama Sweat Shop. I looked back and like, wait, this is the darkest game ever on a Nintendo console, but Cooking Mama Sweet Shop. Okay, that's good. I'm glad it's not Sweat Shop.
That would have been quite the turn for that series.
Man, that
no longer are you putting together recipes for like casseroles. You're now figuring out how to put together tennis shoes. So that's pretty good.
And that would sell. No, thank you, Mr. Boyce. Appreciate it. Lots of good games on that list. We are, man, going to be a busy week. All right, let's jump into
Friday
the news.
Might be payday
First
for you,
up, we got some
not for me.
Just downer stories. Downer stories this week. First up, probably the biggest news of the week. Square Enix is parting ways with Hitman developer IO Interactive. Obviously, they made Hitman. They've also been responsible for Kane and Lynch and Mini Ninjas. In 2009, Square Enix took control of Hitman developers IO Interactive. They're a Danish studio. One of the biggest questions out of the week is, what's going to happen to Hitman? What's is this it? I mean, obviously, Square Enix is trying to sell this studio off. They're out trying to find possible buyers, but this leaves Hitman kind of up in the air, and it's so strange because, earlier this week, Square Enix had their earnings call, and they reported big gains this year. So it's very, very strange, boys. And I want to get your thoughts first. I mean, this came out of nowhere. Nobody saw this coming. Yeah. And it was very disappointing to hear about this. I want to go to you first. What was your initial reaction to Hitman IO Interactive being sold off by Square Enix? I mean, what was your take on that?
Like you, I was surprised. This kind of came out of left field. I was under the impression that Hitman, I don't want to say it was necessarily like a home run for them, but I was under the impression that it was doing well enough. But maybe that's the problem. It wasn't doing as well as they would have hoped for. Because really, when it comes down to it, Brent, Hitman's a AAA game. Mm-hmm. So Hitman's a AAA game with what I'm going to assume was a AAA development budget. And regardless of how they may have delivered the content to fans, I'm sure there was quite the budget for this title. And I forgot who made the point on this. I think it was The Verge in their article. But they mentioned that this decision to go piecemeal and to deliver this game in this episodic format may have resulted in several of these episodes being overshadowed by some of the other releases that came out around these. And I think that's totally true because we were excited about the game when it first came out. A lot of us got in and played the first episode or two. And then after that, it was difficult to keep up with the series. None of us have finished Hitman. None of us have played any of the later episodes because there was all this other stuff going on at the time. And while that format and that style, it worked critically. I mean, it was a great game. People love it, and they loved having stuff to do constantly in that game. But to all but the most hardened of fans, it seems like it was a tough sell the more and more those episodes went on. So I think what it comes down to, man, is just IO and Hitman. It doesn't necessarily fit in with the Square portfolio, I guess. Right now, it's a popular series and it sells, but it doesn't sell the way that they want to sell their games right now. They're AAA games. Like, they want them to sell like Final Fantasy. They want them to sell like Tomb Raider even, which, we've heard even that game has underperformed for them in the past, but that's still a game that pushes 6, 7, 8 million copies when it's all said and done. So, obviously the IO partnership just hasn't been as lucrative as they would have liked, and this is just business, man. It's business. It's nothing personal. And I'm sure they would have loved to keep IO and had the Hitman be a huge success for them. And the reality is, it's just not the case. And they're taking their business in a certain direction, and IO no longer fits into that. So, like you talked about, it seems like they're gonna try to find a buyer for this, and they're not just gonna cut them and leave these guys out on the streets. They are gonna try and broker a deal and get them in with somebody else. So that's good on that front. So we wish all the best to those guys, and hopefully Hitman can continue on and be a great series and continue to be a great series that many people are enjoying. But this is just business, dude.
Frankie, your initial reaction to the announcement, and also, do you think the release slate, the way they handled the release of each episode, played into a factor of this game not doing what they had hoped it would, financially?
Yeah, obviously, like I think the first thing I said was just WTF. Like, that's all I said, and I sent a link to the thing. I everyone that I've talked to who's played Hitman has loved it. It's a couple of the gaming sites I followed. Actually, they took a couple Game of the Year awards. I mean, it's a game that a lot of people are having a great time with. The elusive targets have been, coming out at a pretty nice clip. They have all the elusive, the escalation contracts they've been adding. Like, IO has been working their tail off supporting that game since launching. So it sucks that, potentially all that hard work is just gonna, be for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's such a bummer. The other thing that I'm really curious about is, we know that they've been working on season 2, and I don't know if, boys, you're gonna talk about this in a second or not, but just like, they had to have been like pretty far into the development of season 2 to just up and suddenly no more. So I'm wondering, like, if how all this is gonna shake out, like what's gonna happen. Is Square still gonna be supporting season 1 of Hitman? Are they? I have so many questions about this that it's almost kind of strange that there aren't really still any answers for a lot of this stuff. Like, what's gonna become of Hitman? What about the elusive targets? Like, you just released like an actual physical version of this game, less than 4 months ago. Like, all these people who are just now buying into Hitman, and now all of a sudden, because this is an online game, you have a situation like this pop up. Like, what the hell happens now?
Mm-hmm.
So,
we're going to address a rumor that was brought up later in the week, but I'm with you guys. This was a major bummer. I mean, look, I understand Hitman doesn't have like the draw that like Call of Duty and the Battlefields or even like the Deus Ex of the world, but this was a fundamentally sound game. It was really, really good. I liked the way the episodes were played out, and the thing I liked about this game being episodic is, compared to like The Walking Dead or Batman or something like that, you play through the episode, you're done. You've gotten all the trophies, you're done. Whereas with Hitman, they'd be like, okay, it might be like a month or two before it comes up. That's fine. You have so much crap to do in each episode. You can play through the missions, kill targets in various ways. They kept the best feature was the elusive targets. I thought that was the best thing that's ever come out of a Hitman game. I thought the elusive targets were awesome because it put some stakes on the table. It was a high pressure situation. You had one chance to kill that guy. I love the elusive targets. I thought that was a huge addition to the franchise. And like I was saying, there was so much to do each episode. I was like, man, people are going to be hooked on this for a while. They're going to want to go through. They're going to want to master everything. They're going to want to beat all the challenges. There's the contracts that people created. I figured there's going to be a lot of people playing this game for a long time. But apparently, it just didn't work out the way they had hoped. And I mean, I'm probably part of the problem. But I bought the season pass. I had everything set to go from the start. I knew I was going to get every episode. But even then, there were times where I just didn't even think about going back to it simply because there was so much stuff going on. Now, if somebody can't go out and buy every game, or if they're not running a website, I'm sure they got their fill of everything out of Hitman. I'm sure they had plenty of time to play all the content. They got what they want out of it. But in this industry, with the rate that games are coming out, it's really, really hard for a game like Hitman, which was a AAA title, broken up episodic. It's hard to keep people interested that far down the line, no matter how good the game is. It's very difficult with so many different games, because when a new game comes out, you want to be a part of that game. You want to play that game right away. You want to jump into it and experience it, and by playing that game, Hitman kind of gets lost in the shuffle. There were a lot of games that came out between the fall last year and now, and it's very difficult for people to keep up with Hitman.
The one thing I will give them all the credit in the world for is they stuck to their guns on that release.
Oh yeah,
like they were there. Like when they said, "Hey, these episodes are going to be coming out at this clip," they were there. On top of that, if you were someone who's actually playing that game, like even in between episodes, you constantly had new escalation contracts, elusive targets. Like even if you were not actively like playing that game, there was constantly new stuff for you to be doing in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were somebody who got hooked on that game, like they had you covered all the way through release. Like even if you're a website like us, you're playing other stuff. Like I can't tell you, like throughout the entire year last year, ever since getting into Paris, obviously I didn't get into Sapiens. I know you took over the review for that one, but I just like all throughout the year, it was constantly like that's the one game. If I had one regret game that I did not finish last year, I really wish I had gone back to Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, all year long, just as every episode came out, you heard, "Yeah, dude, this is getting really good. Like this is even better. You got all this stuff you can do in this one." It was that one game that just sounded like as it went on, it got incredibly, like just unbelievably better. Then I didn't go back to it. Idiot.
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say now. Never mind.
Let's talk about the Square Enix. Let's go over the Square Enix statement. This is what they put out regarding IO Interactive. Quote, "To maximize player satisfaction as well as market potential going forward, we are focusing on our resources and energies on key franchises and studios. As a result, the company has regrettably decided to withdraw from the business of IO Interactive, a wholly owned subsidiary and Danish corporation, as of March 31st, 2017. The decision has resulted in booking of the extraordinary loss amounting to $43 million US, including disposition of the content production account related to the business and impairment loss of intangible assets in the final results for the fiscal year ended of March 31st, 2017. As a result of this, the company started discussions with potential new investors and is currently in negotiations to secure this investment. While there can be no guarantees that negotiations will be concluded successfully, they are being explored since this is the best interest of our shareholders, the industry, and the studio as a whole." So the one thing that stood out right there is, we are focusing our resources and engines on key franchises and studios. Key franchises are financially profitable franchises, and that right there tells you they make what they wanted to off of Hitman.
And we already saw them shelve Deus Ex, right?
Yep.
So Deus Ex shelved, Hitman, for all intents and purposes, shelved. So they're really moving towards, like, they want their blockbuster games to be blockbusters, and Square has a very, very successful, like, downloadable space. Their games on Steam and in the mobile space make them just a ridiculous amount of money. So they're very successful there, and they have some room to explore some things in the digital sector. But yeah, it just sounds like they want their blockbusters to be blockbuster, like $6, $7, $8, $10 million like selling games. And if you're not hitting those numbers, then they're just gonna move on. It sounds like. The other thing in there, Brent, is the March 31st date. So they said basically at the end of the fiscal year that they've decided to move on from IO Interactive, and we're here, in mid-May at this point, and they're still updating Hitman, right? The May update just came out for Hitman, so they're still working on this game. So it sounds like at the very least, like, they're going to continue to shop IO, and they're not just, like I said, just going to put these guys out on the street, just cut them out from Square altogether. It sounds like they're just going to let them work until they can and find a buyer for them or a partner. At least that's what it seems like with it's been a month and a half now since they've decided to cut their ties, so to speak.
And despite that $43 million loss, Square Enix posted record high sales last year. For this fiscal year, Square Enix stated in an official release the company reported record high net sales, operating income, ordinary income, and profit attributable to owners of parent, respectively. The increase in net sales, Square Enix says, was due to Final Fantasy XV and Rise of the Tomb Raider, as well as strong download numbers for previously released titles. Smartphone and PC browser games also saw a big leap in sales thanks to titles like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Is it Exvius?
Yeah.
Exvius. Hoshi no Dragon Quest and Dragon Quest Monsters Superlight. This is another quote. In the area of massively multiplayer online role-playing games, revenues from operation has been showing steady performance, while net sales and operating income declined significantly compared to the prior fiscal year, mainly due to the absence of expansion disc releases during the fiscal year ended March 31st.
Mm-hmm.
So
that'll change this fiscal year with Stormblood on the horizon, and of course, Dragon Quest X is I think coming west at some point.
Mm-hmm. And these are those profitable franchises that they know they're going to make a lot of money from. They're going to sell a lot of copies of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just disappointing. Oh, go ahead, Frankie.
Oh, I was gonna add. I was listening to the Giant Beastcast on my way home Friday night, and that 40 whatever million number loss that they're reporting, a lot of that was actually the development of season 2. So they're essentially all the money that they've funneled into Hitman for season 2 going forward. Like that's the majority of what that is. That's not like season 1 like lost them $40 million or anything like
right.
that. So I think if that were the case, then we would all totally understand. Like, oh yeah, totally, yeah, that makes sense. But
this is true. This is true. Square Enix moving forward, the strategy is among upcoming games for fiscal year 2018, which obviously began April 1st, and beyond, Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the games stemming from the Marvel partnership, among which the first will be about the Avengers. Again, big profitable titles that are going to make them a whole lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yes, from a business perspective, they're fine cutting IO because they've got a lot of games coming up that are going to make them a ton of money. And those are the ones that they want to focus on, the sure bets. And unfortunately to them, Hitman was not a sure bet. It wasn't gonna pull in the money that they wanted. And man, this is so disappointing because you see games like Hitman and Deus Ex, these stealth games, these slower paced games, just kind of getting shelved to make way for these other games, and it's so disappointing because those are games that I really enjoy. I think they require more strategy. They require more thinking. It's not an accessible game. It's not easy to just jump in and play. You have to really think about it to master it, and it's a bummer to see these more hardcore games kind of going to the wayside. And what are your thoughts on that, Frank? I mean, obviously I know you like Hitman. I know you enjoy Deus Ex. Why do you think we're getting away from these types of games, and why aren't these selling, dude?
It's a good question. I don't understand because like these games have done well critically, so I mean it's not like they're getting slammed in the reviews and then people are seeing that and just not buying them. And I mean even bringing those up, even Dishonored 2, something like that the game that, again, Game of the Year awards left and right. Who the hell bought it? Apparently nobody. So I don't understand like why these games aren't doing better. Obviously the thing with these two in particular is I know when Deus Ex was initially announced, there was that really slimy pre-order program they had with it that really got a lot of, bad word of mouth. Hitman, obviously the episodic thing, people were extremely skeptical about. So I don't know if maybe just like that initial like bad rap just wasn't enough to kind of have those games shake free from, the concerns people had going into them or what, but it sucks because both of those games, especially Deus Ex and Hitman, are both extremely quality games. So I don't know, man. It just, I think too, like you look at those games and I mean, Deus Ex was down to $20 like a month after release. I don't know though. It sucks because like I said, these very quality games. So I don't understand why people aren't buying them.
Yeah, and what's disappointing is, I wanted to sit there and say, it's because the first-person shooters are drawing everyone away. But then again, I look at Titanfall 2. That one was a critical hit. That one had an awesome story. That one had awesome multiplayer. That thing didn't sell at all. It didn't do as nearly as good as they'd hoped it done. So I guess I can't blame the first-person crowd. Boyce, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. I mean, why are these games these quality titles, these story driven, these with good stories and deep mechanics, and more of a kind of a more steep curve to kind of get in your head around to do well with these games. Why aren't these games doing as well?
Here's something I was thinking about, man. And this might be kind of out there, but the average age of gamers, and specifically the people that own like a PS4 and an Xbox One, like, it continues to rise like every single year. Mm-hmm. So the average age of a PS4 Xbox One owner is somewhere in the 30s now, I think. So it's continued to rise over the years, and I think the reality is, man, like the older you get, the less time you have for these kind of games. It's just after when I get home from work, man, as cool as Hitman is or as Deus Ex is, it's tough for me a lot of nights to be like, man, I just worked 10 hours and I came home and I had dinner with the family. I spent time with the kids, got the kids to bed, and when all is said and done, like, you're wiped out. And like when you come down here to play a game, it's just like sometimes you just want to shoot something. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to put all this thought into these games. So all these games that are described as the thinking man's game, the thinking man shooter, the Hitmans, the Deus Exes, the Dishonored 2s, I just think as the average age of the gamer gets older, like, people get less and less interested in these games. I mean, just look at our website here, dude. Just look at what we've played. Like, if we didn't have like review copies for Deus Ex, would you have played through it? Like, probably so, but maybe not. It might have been a game that fell to the wayside for you if you didn't have that responsibility on your plate. Like, none of us outside of you have played through Deus Ex. None of us have played through Dishonored 2. None of us have played through the Hitman series. So, and we're as hardcore gamers as you can get. And yeah, we bought the games, but we didn't play through them. We didn't evangelize them. Like, we weren't out there like pounding the pavement for these games. It's just, they're a tough sell, man. Just people just don't have the time anymore to dedicate to these games as the age gets up there. So that could be a part of it. Some of these games just release at bad times, man. We talked about Dishonored 2, came out during a very busy fall when there's a lot of big time shooters out there. It's a tough sell to come out right after Call of Duty and Titanfall and Battlefield, to put another first person franchise out in front of people and expect it to sell. That was a tough go. Deus Ex came out right before the fall rush, so I don't know if that factored into it at all. Hitman, we talked about that getting kind of swallowed in the episodic release format, so that's definitely a factor in all this as well. But I wonder too if maybe the age thing is part of it.
Do you so like thinking about a lot of this stuff, like you mentioned earlier, like the release schedule, like do you think we're starting to hit a point now where it's just we're literally looking at so many games coming out every week that there's just gonna be casualties? Like even when Deus Ex came out, obviously it came out the same day as Madden, but it was before a huge rush of games. Like, everyone out there isn't as crazy as we are, and even like now, I think a couple of us are starting to kind of come into our senses. Like, why the hell am I buying all these games I'm not getting to touch? But like, do you think like it's just people just look? I have Battlefield, Call of Duty, Titanfall. Like, I'm only gonna buy one of these games, And Boyce, I know you talked about this a lot last year when that stupid like release list was happening, but I just like I feel like a lot of these games are just going to get pushed off to the side because like if this game was coming out like in January, like Deus Ex for instance, if it were to come out in February when it was originally supposed to, maybe it would have done better. I don't know, but like looking like at a serious like a just giant streak of games that come out, and we're gonna talk about another game soon too that also probably may have fallen because of this, but I feel like we're hitting a point now where it's just like Brent, it's extremely overwhelming. Like just looking at everything, like the stuff you want to play, it just at some point you just I don't know what to do anymore, And
I can't help but wonder if it's because like it's easier to get that sense of accomplishment, that sense of finishing something, the progression of playing through like a Battlefield mission or going online and getting your quick fix with the shooter stuff or running a Nightfall or a Strike on Destiny really quick. Whereas in Deus Ex or Hitman, it can take you hours to get through a chapter, going through how you want to play it, going through and finding everything, or if you want to go stealthy and learn the story and find all the collectibles and whatnot, it takes a lot longer. it takes a lot longer, and then you drag the game out, and then you're just like, man, I've missed out on like these 2 other games that my friends are playing, and then you're over there playing that because it's the quick fix, it's the easy thing to progress through quickly, whether it's the story or the multiplayer. You get that satisfaction of accomplishment. Where if you sit down with Deus Ex, there's a good chance you're gonna save 2 nights in a row before you even finish the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting that sense of completion that, okay, I just finished that round. I just finished that chapter. You play Call of Duty, you play Battlefield, and you can get through these chapters relatively quick, where some of these other games, like you said, the thinking man games, it takes a while. And after a while, and the older you get, you're just like, man, I just want to come home, fire this up, play it, and go to bed, and get my progression done at the same time. I want to get a sense of, I started it, I finished it, and go to bed. I can't help but wonder if that's part of what's going on there, boys.
Yeah, dude. I work with a lot of people who are casual gamers, and when they get a chance to actually sit down and play a game, it's usually not for an extended period of time, and they like to do stuff like Call of Duty and Battlefield and Battlefront, where you just sit down, play a few matches, shoot some guys, and then you go on with the rest of your daily business. So for the casual fan, these games are a tough sell. And for the hardcore fan, as we continue to get older, it gets more and more difficult to invest time into these games. There's nothing more frustrating than myself having a limited amount of time, and if I jump into Bloodborne and I, just slowly plod my way through this level, and I really take my time and defeat these guys and plan out all of my attacks, and then I get to this new enemy which I've never seen before. I don't know how he's gonna attack, and then I just die, and then I'm back and I got to do everything all over again, and I've just wasted 45 minutes or whatever. Like there's nothing more frustrating than that when you don't have a lot of time to spend on these games. So if I go into a Hitman mission and I plot out like how I'm going to tackle this target and it doesn't work out, and I waste 30 or 45 minutes, then it's kind of off-putting,
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. And the reality is, man, Hitman has never been like a huge seller. It's a game that can push a couple million units, which sounds ridiculous. That's a lot of games, but in the blockbuster space, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not what Square is looking for right now. Just the reality of the industry right now, man.
And I don't want to drag this segment too much longer, but I want to ask our resident bachelor, Bender, when it comes to games like that, the thinking man games, the slower games, the more calculated games, the plotting games, the games that take a little bit longer to get from point A to point B, from the start of a chapter to the end, are those appealing to you, or do you like just the quick, hey, I'm going to go online and do Iron Banner real quick for a couple rounds, or I'll do a quick strike or something like that, and get your fix, get your knee, get your win, or you beat the chapter, or you beat whatever. Which one's more appealing to you as the bachelor of the group?
Either one could be appealing depending on the day. I do like games that make me think and make me have to kind of plot out my method of progressing.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some days where I'm just like, I don't want to really think right now. I just want to play something that's going to be fun and pass the time, and that's when I'll play something else, like something more action oriented, like Destiny. So it really just depends. But I don't mind a game that makes me think from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And just real quick, Brent. I don't want people to think that I don't like games that make you think or anything like that. It's just there's a time and a place for those games, and where I'm at right now, I'm finding it very difficult to find the time to invest in games like that. And I wonder if a lot of people who are my age or in the same boat probably think the same thing. So there's definitely a time and a place for those games, and if I had a few hours and I knew I had a week where I had some availability where I could sit down and maybe invest some time into a game, then let's do Hitman, let's do Deus Ex, let's do these games. But it's becoming more and more difficult the older I get to find those weeks and to find those blocks of time where I can devote myself to those kinds of games.
I want to hear from our listeners. How do you like your games? Do you like them quick, fast, or do you like the long, drawn-out games, the games that require some thought, slow plotting, pacing? Or do you just want to hop on and kill some people, and you want to hop on and blast through a quick, short mission, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know your thoughts. We want to get an idea of how you like to play. Are we just getting old? Are we too old? Or is there something going on here where these games like Deus Ex and Hitman are just falling to the wayside for reasons unknown? Or is there something going on? Podcast@shortpause.com. We want to hear from you. We'll read them off next week. Last thing we want to touch on with IO Interactive, something Frankie brought up. What's going to happen with Hitman, especially specifically the rights to the IP. According to a German site, GameStar, the rights to the Hitman franchise will remain with IO rather than Square Enix if and when the studio is sold or spun off. Furthermore, work on the second season is already halfway to completion, the site said, and it's definitely going to happen. This is all entirely unverified at this point, so bear that in mind. GameStar said the information comes from reliable sources.
As it always does.
As it always does. And is absolutely reliable and secure. But a rumor is a rumor until some official says otherwise. The site added that it expects IO will make some sort of statement next week, while Square Enix said in response to an inquiry only that we do not have any further comments beyond the statement of the pending sale for now. So, small rumor out there suggesting that IO will retain the rights to Hitman and that we will see Hitman Season 2, which is now over halfway completed. So, there's still hope. Still hope. Hopefully, we'll find out something this week.
I wanna ask you one question too, real quick, Brent, before we move on. So I'm gonna drag this segment out a little bit longer. But who buys IO, dude? Like, who goes and picks up IO Interactive? Does one of the big dogs pick them up? Or what do you think?
Well, if it's one of the big dogs, I mean, yes, it's IO and Interactive, and if they have Hitman, that'll be cool. But are any of these big dogs going to just shell out a ton of money for IO to make a Hitman game that hasn't seen the returns? And I think the thing we got to worry about is if IO gets picked up by a big publisher, how much money are they going to be able to make the Hitman game that we all expect from them now? Obviously, Hitman games cost a lot of money to make. And if they're not seeing the returns, makes me wonder, I mean, why would a publisher or somebody really want to jump at that?
Yeah, for what it's worth, I don't think that Hitman is a big enough franchise for Sony or Microsoft to seek them out. But I also think about like Microsoft, like what if they make this kind of goodwill gesture and they could use something like this. Like they go out, they pick up one of these studios. Not necessarily just for the financial gains or the business part of it, but just for like the PR side of it as well. Like, how big would it be if Microsoft goes in and they're like, look, you guys have been talking about our first party slate and what we've got on the horizon. Well, guess what? We're going in, we're picking up IO Interactive. The Hitman franchise is going to be exclusive to Xbox from now on, and anything else that IO makes is going to be exclusive from here on out, and it's going to be part of our brand now. Like that could be a good move for them.
It would be, because IO is obviously a talented group of developers, and it would be a real nice get. I think it would help bolster Microsoft's first-party output. I think that would be a very good franchise to have there. I mean, obviously, you got to keep your expectations in check. You can't expect Hitman to sell a ton, but if every Xbox owner knows that this is the only place I can get it, I think you'll see the support there, hopefully. Obviously, Quantum Break was a first-party game and didn't sell like it should have, but Hitman on Xbox, I don't think that'd be a bad move. I think it'd be very nice of Microsoft, but I think it's just going to be difficult for some of these publishers to really look at IO Interactive and say, hey, look, we know Hitman has scored very well with critics. It's just not selling, and it's going to be it'll be interesting to see who's willing to take that chance.
Mm-hmm. Also disappointed I won't get my Black Widow IO Interactive game that I was hoping for.
Would have been nice. Would have been pretty good. All right. Let's keep the depressing news going. Bioware Montreal has been scaled down, and Mass Effect has been put on hold.
Ooh,
Bioware has put Mass Effect on hiatus and turned Andromeda's developer, Bioware Montreal, into a support studio, according to 4 sources close to the company. Bioware is letting Mass Effect sit for a while rather than putting staff on Andromeda's follow-up right away, those sources have said. Last month, a number of BioWare Montreal employees were transferred to the studio EA Motive, also based in Montreal, to work on Star Wars Battlefront 2. Those remaining at BioWare Montreal will help support BioWare's other games, including the new intellectual property codenamed Dylan, which we expect the company to announce at E3, even though they just announced that it's been delayed. Bioware Montreal will also continue to patch and support Andromeda's multiplayer. Sources also say Bioware Montreal is significantly smaller than it was just a few months ago. Those who didn't go to Motive will help out with Bioware's other projects rather than incubating and developing their own. Earlier this week on an earnings call, Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson also told developers that the publisher is very happy with how BioWare is doing, how BioWare is treating Mass Effect, and our expectation and our expectations for Mass Effect are still strong for the future and the franchise overall. Wilson also put a great deal of emphasis on live service games, of which BioWare's new IP is one. That's the studio's main focus for the time being. So, obviously, BioWare did not see what they expected out of Andromeda, both probably critically and I mean, how did this thing? I mean, where was it in the charts? Have we had an MPD with this on there, right?
Yeah,
and it was at the top, wasn't it? Was it 2 or 3? Which
don't
probably
remember
isn't
where,
very
so.
good. It probably should be number 1 for a Mass Effect game. So, Frankie, I want to get your thoughts first. Starting with BioWare, I mean, they're responsible for a lot of great games. What's your thoughts on them putting Mass Effect kind of on the back burner for now, man?
It's honestly probably the right move. I know Andromeda didn't really set the world on fire like I was assumed they would hope it would have. And I don't know, I get this very middle of the road vibe about that game. It doesn't live up to the trilogy, so it's automatically just people aren't that interested in it. But I was talking to JD. JD's played through it, he finished it. He enjoyed it. He was saying yeah, if you don't go in there expecting the Mass Effect trilogy, it's still a fun Mass Effect game. So I don't know, man. I just I personally I still have yet to play any Mass Effect games. I picked up Andromeda. It's weird. It's already been on sale, so I went and picked it up. So I have it sitting on the PS4. It's a game I'd really like to play at some point. It looks really cool. Looks like a lot of fun. So I don't know. Strange. It's so soon too. This game just came out. What? A month and a half ago, and already we're yeah, we're not touching that anymore.
Yeah,
seriously?
the whole studio has been basically scaled down. People have been moved to other studios. They're basically a support studio now. Bender, I know you've played through some of Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, is this kind of surprising to you, considering you've... Now, here's what I want to ask you. Do you think the fact, I mean, obviously Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 were very, very big games. They reviewed very well. They were huge sellers. It was the Master, or not the Master Chief, the Commander Shepard trilogy. I mean, it was his story, her story, however you played it. Do you think going away from Shep and starting off this spin-off kind of hurt the franchise? I mean, everyone has these expectations from Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. I mean, everyone knew it was the Shep story. It was the Shep story arc. Do you think maybe going this route, the spin-off, kind of maybe set the franchise back? Maybe wasn't as appealing to Mass Effect diehards because they, in their mind, knew what they wanted from Mass Effect. It was Shep. I mean, do you think that came into play? Or, I mean, and are you surprised by this?
I'm surprised. I don't know. I don't know if it's because people were expecting it to be, or I don't know if it was because it wasn't a Shepard related story. I think it was just because people had way too high of expectations in general for this game, and I mean they're expecting it to be mind blowing or something. I don't know, or life changing, but it's just a game. And I also think the all the animation issues were completely overblown. I know they've patched some of it, so I guess I didn't see all the really bad ones, but I haven't noticed anything super horrible or noticeable in my time with the game. So I don't know. I was surprised by this. I think it's a shame that they're gonna shelve this franchise for a while. I think they could have improved on it and done better on the next one. So I mean, maybe they will at some point, but I don't know. It's a shame to me.
So I have a question I want to ask you actually, because I have two friends at work, and my one buddy is just obsessed with Mass Effect. He loves that trilogy. He's played all the DLC. He's that one person who won't shut up about that game, and he is not going to die until I play that game or something. So, but even with where he is, he didn't buy Andromeda. His thing was I played through the Mass Effect trilogy. That game is about the story. That was the story I wanted to experience. I'm just not interested in Andromeda. Like, having played the original trilogy, like, do you like? Does that kind of like resonate with you too? Like, were you excited about going into Andromeda after you finished the trilogy?
I was, yeah. I was okay with the way the trilogy ended. I don't know why. I feel like the Mass Effect 3 ending was overblown as well. Like, of course, I don't know. I think they patched it or something, or changed it somehow before I got around to seeing
extended it.
Yeah, something like that. But I was excited about it, even though I knew it wasn't going to have anything to do with Shepard or necessarily anything to do with the original storyline for the first trilogy. It's still in the Mass Effect universe. You're still seeing the same races and stuff, and it's still a sci-fi story that I really like. So I was excited about it, and I've really enjoyed it so far. I'm trying to play through the game right now and finish it. You know, that's going to be the next game that I work on to get through. So I'm enjoying it. So I mean, it's a shame that this is gonna be the last one I'll play for a while, but I guess I'll just have to enjoy this one while I can.
Mm-hmm. Boys, I want to pitch this to you. I want to ask you, since we're on this topic of talking about games that aren't the same as the previous trilogies, I want to get your thoughts. Imagine they announce a new Uncharted game, like an actual new Uncharted game, not like the legacy one that's coming up, but a new Uncharted game or a new Tomb Raider. Okay, you've obviously known that Nathan Drake is Uncharted, and you know that Lara Croft is Tomb Raider. I mean, would it be kind of difficult to jump into a new Uncharted game with a new character, or a new Tomb Raider game with somebody who isn't Lara? I mean, look, characters are just as important as a franchise itself. Okay, Commander Shepard was a big part of Mass Effect. The character was Mass Effect. Master Chief is Halo. Can you imagine going into an Uncharted game or a Tomb Raider game without these centerpiece characters, the characters that make these franchises so memorable? Do you think not having Shep, whether you played him as a female or a male, do you think not having that familiar face, that familiar character and whatnot, not in this one, made it kind of unappealing to some people?
Yeah, I think that can definitely be part of it, because in this type of game, in this game that's so heavily reliant on story, when you take that aspect away from the game and you go in a completely different direction, like, that can be off-putting for some, and it can be hard for people to get excited about that. Definitely, if this was this was Call of Duty or something, like, who cares? Like, put
Right.
another soldier in there. We don't give a damn who it is. Like, we'll go out there, we'll shoot the guys all the same. But in a game that you invest so much time in, I mean, when you spend 100 hours going through the whole entire Mass Effect saga, and you get really attached to the characters in there, and you go through this whole storyline, like, it's very difficult to then get your excitement back up to go back in there and do things again. Like, in comic books, when they kill a beloved character, like Peter Parker or Superman or something like that, when they kill one of these guys and they bring in the next guy to take into that role, like, it's very difficult for the fans to then get excited about that character, and it's really only a matter of time before they get resurrected, before that storyline comes out. So I don't know how many times Spider-Man's died, I don't know how many times Superman's died or Batman's died. They've all died multiple times. They all always come back, because we don't want, like, the other guy. We want the main guy that we've been growing up with, that we've been reading their adventures for a long time. So I think there's something to say about that with Andromeda. There's probably a lot of people that aren't as excited about it. And I tell you what, dude, like, Taz is a gigantic Mass Effect fan. I haven't got one goddamn text message from him about this game, about anything about it. He hasn't said a single word about this game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very telling to me. Like, he just doesn't care about this game. I haven't got one single request to, like, play multiplayer with him or anything, which is telling about how much or what he thinks about the game at this point. So for whatever reason, this is just not resonating, and I think that's a valid complaint people can have, man. I mean, if the game's not resonating, it's not resonating, and it just that's something EA is gonna have to think about when it's such a beloved series. And even if it comes out, I mean, this is a series that's like a 10 out of 10 series for Mass Effect fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the people that love this game, they love this game, and they expect certain things from this game, because the precedent has been set over the last 3 titles. So when you come out with an Andromeda game, even if it's good, but it's not that good, it's not as good as they expect from the series, I think it does affect their ability to get into the title and be as excited about it. And I think they're that's a valid way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's where we're at with Andromeda and with the Mass Effect franchise. Very disappointing to hear that this studio has been just kind of reduced to a supporting staff while other members have been shuffled around EA to work on other titles, upcoming titles. We're going to do one more story before the break. This wasn't listed under the bad news section, but I'm going to treat it as bad news. A new Thief game is in the works. Square Enix. Now, this is baffling. Okay, Thief 2... or Thief that we played on the PS4 was just an
Thief
awful.
4. This is the fourth Thief.
Yeah, Thief. Okay, the one we played on came out at launch, close to launch of the systems. That game sucked. Okay, it was not. It was. I mean, okay, it had some strong elements to it, but it's. I would expect another Hitman game, another 3 Hitman games before I would expect Square to be like, okay, look, we lost too much money on Hitman. It's out. Let's bring up another Thief game. I don't remember seeing Thief on any NPD lists.
Dude, it was in the bargain bin a month after launch.
Yeah, judging by the cutscenes, it's probably where it belonged. But this is strange. With a Thief film adaptation in the works too, no less. Hitman had a couple movies, so I guess it makes sense Thief would get one. But Square Enix is also reportedly working on the 5th game in the series to coincide with the movie. Straight Up Films, which acquired the rights to Thief from Square Enix last year, revealed the news in a post on the company's website describing the production. This post is fantastic. The opening line of this post is, if this isn't trying to sell something, I don't know what is. Widely considered to be one of the greatest games ever created, a 5th sequel is currently in development to be released in step with the motion picture adaptation. Widely considered to be one of the greatest games ever created.
I will say this: the first Thief, the very first Thief that came out on PC, is regarded by many people in very high regard, and it is some people's favorite game of all time.
Okay, but, so that's okay. They're referring to that one. I thought they meant like the franchise in general. I was like, I don't know. Okay, the first one was great. I don't know about the follow-ups because I don't remember hearing too much about the follow-ups.
I have a question.
The first Thief people love.
What's your question, Franklin?
I assume, Boyce, you would know this, but Thief is a Warren Spector joint, right? Like,
yes,
he's also...
I believe he was the first. He was behind the first one, at least.
He's also behind Deus Ex. So really, if they just get Warren Spector back at Square Enix, Thief will be the greatest game ever again.
I don't know. Warren's been making Mickey Mouse games, and he may not be the same Warren that we know and love from back.
I don't know. He's making System Shock 3 right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to consider that bad news because I don't want another Thief game. I would rather have another Hitman game. So,
I tell you what though, Brent, is Thief was an exceedingly mediocre title. There's no question about it. But there was some stuff that game did right, and you know, there were definitely some things that they could have iterated on. There was a lot of work that needed to be done around it, but the core gameplay loop in that Thief game, there was some solid stuff in there. There was some solid stealth mechanics. There was some solid kind of choose your own adventure mechanics when you would go into an area and figure out how to get from point A to point B and get to your objective. Like, there were some good things in that game. It was just everything around it was just, from the story to the cutscenes to the voice acting occasionally to the hub world, like everything, to the loading to the technical missteps. There was just everything around the gameplay was lacking. And yeah, if they could have gone in there and given another stab at it and shored it up and gotten away from some of the ridiculous supernatural stuff that came in to play in the second half of that game, like they could have potentially made a strong game. So maybe this 5th Thief will pick up some of those threads. I don't know.
Look, man, I thought the mechanics were promising, but I also thought there were mechanics that were done much better in a couple other Square Enix games, Hitman and Deus Ex. So,
well, since then, well, it's funny because the people that made Deus Ex made this game. So
That's right.
it's the same group of people.
No, I would rather have another Deus Ex than another Thief from the same group of people. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We got some music here from Ruel Ethan, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for producing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, the intermission you just heard. Very talented young man. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check out his music on iTunes and SoundCloud. He's a good guy, great musician. Thanks a lot, dude. We appreciate it. All right, guys, let's get into some Xbox news. First up, Halo 6 will not be at E3 2017.
I actually am kind of surprised at this.
I was bummed. I was really surprised. I was kind of hoping we'd see something.
Yeah, the reality is the Halo series has basically been on a 3-year development cycle for who knows how long now. So by that logic, next year, 2018, should see Halo 6 surface for the Xbox One. So I am a little bit surprised that they've just completely taken it off the table. Like, there will be no Halo 6 at all. You know, they said they'll have a little something to show. And I said before, you know, like Halo 5 in 4K, like that's definitely going to be there in some respect. And maybe they'll even come with some like mini Halo 5 story expansion or something where you get a couple hours out of it or something like I could see them doing something like that. But this to me even seems like it takes the possibility of a tease for Halo 6 off the table, which I thought was definitely in play, like some type of a cinematic trailer a la the way they debuted Halo 4 at E3. Like, I thought that was totally on the table, and for them to just completely take it off, at least from what it sounds like to me, it sounds like a cinematic teaser is completely off the table as well.
See,
So
that's
I'm a little surprised by it.
That's what I was waiting to see at the end of the show. At the end of the, they go through the whole show, showing off everything, and then one more thing, and then just something like a small a small snippet of like not even gameplay, just a teaser trailer to kind of get people hyped and just say, Halo 6 2018, and boom, that's what you end on. That's the only thing I would have really wanted to see, but it's not like we won't even get that. But in a post on Reddit, 343 community manager Brian Gerard tempered fans' expectations for this year's Expo, saying that while the studio will have something at E3, it won't be tied to Halo 6. Here's what he had to say. I'll slip into my dream crusher persona for a moment in the name of realistic expectations. We've said this already, but we'll have a little something at E3. It's just not related to the next major entry in the franchise. While details on the next proper entry in the Halo franchise are scarce, it's widely known that 343 has been working on Halo 6 for well over a year. So they've been working on it for well over a year. I'm really surprised we will not see some kind of teaser at the end of the show, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange.
I just think it's it's a little surprising they just completely took it off the table.
Yeah, with all the talk they've had about how they're going to focus more on Chief and no other characters. I mean, Chief will be at the forefront of the story this time around. Frankie, are you kind of bummed we won't see maybe a little something? I mean, just a teaser at the end? Like Chief breathing in his mask and that's it?
No. I do hope, however, this means that they'll bring a trailer for the Halo Wars 2 single-player expansion.
I will probably see that. That's probably something we'll see.
I'd be
I
right
would
with that.
think. I would think so. Bender, now that you've played a little bit of multiplayer in Halo 5, are you anxious to see something for Halo 6, or was just the beatdown from JD pretty much the final nail in the coffin for your interest in the franchise?
No, Bender's going out on top, literally.
Oh, there you go.
I wouldn't mind seeing something from it whenever they're ready to show it, I guess. But if they're not going to show it, then hopefully they'll have other stuff to show.
Are you ever would you ever want to jump into that franchise? Like, similar to how you did Mass Effect, you played through all of them. Would you ever go pick up the Master Chief Collection, start off there? And
I actually have the Master Chief Collection and Halo 5.
Oh, well.
This is partially my fault.
Oh, well, of course it
sorry,
is. It's
Bender.
always your fault. It's always your fault. All
That
right.
seems to be a theme this week. I don't know.
I think so. Bender, what are you gonna do? You gonna wait for Halo 6 to get announced and then do kind of what you did with Mass Effect, just like set out a couple months beforehand and just I'm gonna power through all 5 of these?
I intended to. Well, I actually started Halo 1. I never finished it. I intended to kind of work my way through them eventually, but other stuff comes up. But I still do want to play through them.
Dude, I had every intention of playing through all the original games. When I fired up 1 after like the first 2 chapters, I was like, man, these controls suck.
What the hell did you just say?
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like, look, man, I know there's Halo fans like, man, shut your mouth. Sorry, dude, those controls suck. Especially if you're new to the franchise and you're just jumping in now when we have modern controls that make sense. You go and play that game, you're like, man, this sucks. Can we get some modern controls in this game, please, so I can actually play it like I know how to play a first-person shooter? That's just my opinion. Don't burn my house down. Don't swat me. I'm just saying the controls suck.
Brent, check this out, man. So,
Uh-oh.
Halo 1, 2001. Okay. Halo 2, 2004, 3 years.
3 years.
Halo 3, 2007, 3 years. Halo Reach, 2010, 3 years. ODST was a year before that, too. Halo 4, 2012. So that was 2 years after Reach, but
Wow.
there was a new group working on this, so they probably spent 3 or 4 years on it. Halo 5, 2015, 3 years. So here we are in 2017. This will have been 2 years since Halo 5. This would pin, or logically, it would pit Halo 6 in 2018 if they go according to everything else. It's just a little shocking that they just completely took any type of tease just off the table, man.
I don't know. I'm not buying it. They're gonna drop something. They have to. Just give me a snippet. Just a
Think they
little
might be
taste.
pulling the wool over our eyes here a little bit.
No, probably not. Not if this guy took to Reddit and started just breaking people's
Yeah.
hearts. So,
I mean, especially in a time where people are curious and they're excited and they don't know what the future of the first party looks like for Microsoft, and they're gonna trot out the Scorpio. Like, to trot out the Scorpio and not have Halo 6 there. I don't know. I'm a little surprised, man.
yeah, it just seems like the perfect occasion for it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, look, we're less than a month away. We're gonna find out here pretty quick what Microsoft's gonna show. 343 Industries' Dan Ayub has left the company to work for a different division within Microsoft. It was officially announced in a Halo Waypoint blog post that Ayub would be leaving to pursue a passion for education through technology. This has taken him to mixed reality, Microsoft's venture into the VR space that expands upon their HoloLens project. Ayub has been working on Halo titles since Halo Reach in 2009 and leaves the future of Halo Wars 2 and its DLC to be carried forward by his team at 343 Industries. This is what 343 Industries had to say. Quote, "Over the years, Dan has helped us work with amazing studios and partners from literally every corner of the globe. They, like us, are going to miss him, and Dan wanted to express his thanks to both those partners and to all the Halo fans and community who have been the fuel and fire that have ignited his passion and ambition throughout the years." So, best of luck to Ayub. He wants to really reach out to or try out that HoloLens stuff for educational purposes. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Good luck, Dan.
Good luck, Dan. Up next, Shinobi. We got insider news, man. Insider news. According to well-known insider Shinobi602 on Twitter, it was revealed that Microsoft will announce at E3 in Los Angeles a partnership to a large and important AAA title that is not yet announced and which will be presented at E3. Shinobi does not reveal other details about it. As to point out, however, he does not necessarily refer to an exclusive title for Xbox. The deal could also relate to exclusive content time, as happened in the past with Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto 5 as an example, or much like FIFA right now. Boys, any guess to what AAA franchise, unannounced AAA game, that Shinobi could be referring to here?
I have 2 thoughts on this.
I'm going to guess one of them Splinter Cell.
You're going to guess correctly, because I've talked about this before, but Ubisoft has a few titles that are unannounced that are scheduled to come out prior to March of 2018. And what better way to roll out the Scorpio than to roll in with, and I don't think this will be an exclusive title, because I think in Shinobi, I think he makes it clear that this is a marketing deal. So I'm pretty sure this is a third-party title. So I don't think this will be a Scorpio or an Xbox only Splinter Cell, but they could roll out as, with the Xbox marketing deal, with the whole this is the best way to play the new Splinter Cell, like this is how to get the optimal experience. That whole song and dance could definitely be rolled out with Splinter Cell, and I think that would make a big splash for people, especially if they show it in action on the Scorpio and it's due out either this holiday season or early next year. And it's going to show off what the system can do. So that's one of them. I also think it could just be Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Origins is not officially announced yet. It's been leaked for a while, and there's little tidbits coming out left and right, like we talked about on the last show. But I think that's also a strong possibility here. So either one of Ubisoft's joints, I think, could be what he's referring to here.
Look, at some point this year, well, probably at launch, I'm going to find a way to get a Scorpio. Okay, I'm going to find a way to get one. But if they go out there and put out a Splinter Cell running on Scorpio at like 4K 60 and just an amazing looking game, I'm gonna flip my shit, because I love Splinter Cell games, and I think that'd be a real good marketing deal. I like you. I don't think this will be an exclusive title. There's just too big of an install base for Ubisoft to be like, no, we're gonna keep it on Xbox only. If Xbox does pull that off, that is monstrous. Frankie, any guess to what games you think they might have locked up there?
Voices 2 were my thoughts, but the other one that I might maybe possibly imagine, Metal Gear Survive, but that's announced, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that? Damn. I don't know if it was a rumor, if it was actually like announced.
It has been announced. I've been hoping that
right.
it's been a rumor for a while. I've been hoping that I'm gonna wake up and it's just all been a dream, but no, it's real.
The only other one that I would maybe imagine them doing is Beyond Good and Evil 2, because that's another one that I don't think has been formally announced.
More Ubisoft titles.
Yeah, Ubisoft. Look, it's something with Ubisoft.
Yeah, something Ubisoft related.
It's got to be something Ubisoft related. Bender, any stab out there, buddy?
I kind of like the idea of a Splinter Cell game coming out.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool. I remember playing the old Splinter Cell games back in the day.
Splinter Cell games are so good.
Who made Smuggler's Run?
Rockstar.
Oh, really? Damn. All right,
Is that a Rockstar joint?
Mm-hmm. Way back in the day, if I remember correctly.
That was a cool game.
Cool.
PS2 launch action.
Was that a launch title on the PS2?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Speaking of Project Scorpio, their first official headset has been announced. The officially licensed LS35X wireless gaming headset from LucidSound. Coming out this holiday season, the company claims the device pairs up with Project Scorpio like an Xbox One controller, meaning no cables are necessary. The LucidSound headset will also work with all Xbox One systems as well as PCs, though for computers, a wireless adapter will most likely be needed. Dude, I've got a pair of Lucid LS40s, and LucidSound makes a hell of a headset. So this is a really nice officially licensed headset. This thing will sound great. LucidSound is not a joke. I mean, they're obviously Turtle Beach and Astro are the bigger names, but LucidSound makes a quality headset, and I expect the Lucid 35X to be very, very, very good and very pricey.
Yeah, that's the question. Like, what price are we looking at for this thing?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably thinking, well, if people are going to shell out for whatever the Scorpios cost, we can probably throw the price of the Lucid. They'll buy that too.
Yeah. Caution to the wind.
Yeah, be careful on that one. Up next, Surviving Mars is a planetary city builder, and it's coming to Xbox One. Developed by Hitman Games and published by Paradox Interactive, the game tries in earnest to answer the question, what would be required for humanity to establish a livable colony on Mars, laying the foundation for civilization away from Earth? The game's settings borrow as much from the work of NASA and SpaceX as it does from the works of writers such as Asimov and Clarke. It is a serious take on sci-fi, but one with an optimistic tone that updates the aesthetic of the space race to the technology and societal outlook of today. That sounds like a game that's way too smart for me. Moving along, Bloody Zombies hits Xbox One later this year, as well as PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR. Bloody Zombies is a
This game looks awesome.
This does look awesome.
Yeah.
Bloody Zombies is a brand new co-op brawler where all the remains of civilization are 4 misfit survivors: Teller, Ray, Eddie, and Mick the Brick, who have been brought together to save a city overrun by hordes of mutated zombies. You'll need to master freeform combat, unlock special moves, and discover brutal chainable combos to survive. Play with up to 3 other friends, whether on the couch or online, and work together. Yes, another one. Figure it out. Paw Print Games. This is what they say. We're huge brawler fans, inspired by Streets of Rage, Devil May Cry, and Guacamelee, and that's where they got a lot of inspiration from for this game, which are all great games.
3 awesome games to be inspired by. Yeah.
So, Bloody Zombies, that'll be coming soon to Xbox One, as I mentioned, PlayStation 4 and PSVR as well. And lastly, for Xbox, PSA, by the time you're listening to this, you'll probably have just a couple hours left, but Alan Wake is disappearing from Steam and Xbox Live forever, possibly. The makers of the horror game Alan Wake said today that they're pulling the game from Steam and Xbox Live on Monday because of a music licensing issue. Although you can keep the game if you own it, you won't be able to buy Alan Wake again as of May 15th. Remedy, the studio behind Alan Wake, said it's looking into relicensing the music for Alan Wake, but doesn't know if or when that will happen. The studio did not offer specifics, but Alan Wake does feature a number of licensed songs by artists like David Bowie and Depeche Mode, which likely costs a whole lot of money. So grab it now while you can. I think it's like, what, $2.99, Frankie, on Steam? Okay, so yeah, $2.99 on Steam. Grab it now because as of Monday, it's going to be gone for possibly forever. But if you grabbed or pre-ordered Quantum Break, you got Alan Wake, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to make sure you download it in order to have access to it.
Yeah, just redeem that code and don't download it if you don't want to, as long as it's in your library or sitting on a shelf at your local video game retailer still.
Boys, tell me why you're excited for Project Rap Rabbit.
Well, I love Parappa the Rappa, and the idea of another like story focused like rhythm game in that kind of vein is really exciting, man. These characters look really cool. Like, I love this Sensei Frog that's in the promotional material for this game. There was an awesome frog in Parappa the Rappa, so if there's another awesome frog in Project Rap Rabbit, like that's gonna be sweet. Rap Rabbit looks awesome. Looks like it's gonna have some of the the sensei stuff from Chop Chop Master Onion. So yeah, dude, the beat in the promotional trailer for this is rad. So yeah, sign me up for Project Rap Rabbit, man. This sounds sweet.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. All right, jumping from Xbox to Nintendo. Just a couple things here for Nintendo. First up, Nintendo has laid out their E3 plans. As detailed on the official Nintendo of America Twitter account, the company will hold a Nintendo Spotlight on June 13th at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, where we'll learn more about Nintendo Switch games, including Mario Odyssey, on e3.nintendo.com. Immediately following, Nintendo will kick off its Treehouse Live event, during which developers and members of the Treehouse will showcase gameplay from various Nintendo Switch and 3DS games. Finally, on June 13th and 14th, Nintendo will host tournaments for both Splatoon 2 and ARMS, which can be seen live from its E3 booth. Frankie is just overwhelmed with excitement.
Gonna sleep in those days.
Bender, what do you think about that? The E3 plans for Nintendo? You excited for all that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they show us. And looking and finding out more about Mario Odyssey. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see more about Mario Odyssey myself. Boys, I know you're pretty excited to see more about Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more about Mario Odyssey. Obviously, it looks awesome. I expect it to be no less than a stellar gaming experience. I just I hope they have more to show us than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like this presentation, we have to see the online features of this
yes,
system.
we do.
Like the virtual console. Like this is the stuff I'm expecting to be in here, and part of me feels like we're gonna be disappointed in that respect. Like I feel like they're gonna give us some of Mario Odyssey, but then they're gonna give us some other like 3DS titles that nobody gives a shit about, and some other stuff in there, and they're just like it's gonna be built around Mario Odyssey, but there's a lot of other stuff that I want to see in here. Like I want to see like if they're gonna do these Wii U ports, like I feel like they need to get these things out of the way. Like I don't know that we want to be 2-3 years into the life of the Switch, and they're like, hey, Wii U port number 4 is finally making its way out.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're gonna do the Wii U ports, like let's see Smash Brothers, let's see Super Mario Maker at this thing, let's see the virtual console, let's see the online system and how it's gonna work. I mean they gotta talk about it here, right? If the thing's going into beta or whatever this summer, like they gotta talk about it at some point. What better place to do it than right here?
Look at you trying to bring logic to Nintendo.
Yeah. And I'm really hoping that as part of the online thing, they show us an achievement system, dude. Like, can we get an achievement system on your platform, please?
Let it go, boys.
No, I will not let it go.
Just let it go.
Yeah, he's going to let his system go if that's the case. He's going to let it go right back to GameStop.
I don't understand why we can't get an achievement system. Reggie hinted at it earlier this year. They have to be thinking about this.
So, Reggie, if you're listening, which you're not, give us an achievement system, please.
Or don't. It's okay if you don't.
That's fine if you don't.
It's really not. It's really not okay.
It's really not fine.
It's
not fine, Reggie.
I just want to quickly hop in for a second here. You guys were talking last week about like a certain point where it's maybe not going to be okay for them to do Wii U ports to the Switch, and how I think you were talking to Bender about how you feel like maybe longtime Nintendo fans might feel kind of slighted by it. I just want to quickly throw a thing I was thinking about when you guys were talking about that, but thinking about prior Nintendo systems before the Wii U, you're talking the Wii had over 100 million consoles. I assume the 64, the GameCube, they all sold significantly more units than the Wii U itself. So in the grand scheme of things, I was thinking about this too, because there are games that I played on the Wii U, like Bayonetta 2. I would happily play that game again on the Switch, even though I've already played through it once. I would love to play it with a real controller and not on the stupid gamepad. So, I just think because the Wii U, the amount of people out there who could have possibly bought those games is 13 point whatever million. Even at that, Xenoblade Chronicles Cross, Bayonetta 2, all these games only sold maybe around 1 million. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't feel like there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to be upset 2 years down the road and the re-release, Wind Waker HD on the Switch. I'm going to be okay with that personally, just because I feel even though sure, it's essentially a remaster of a remaster at that point, but it's still you're still looking at a very, very small potential pool of people who've actually even played it on the Wii U in the first place. I don't feel like it's going to be a large enough pool of people that would actually offend anybody if, over time Nintendo brings over Pikmin 3 and, Bayonetta 2 and, Pushmo and all these other games that came on the Wii U that, kind of unfortunately just were on the Wii U.
Right.
Except Star Fox Zero. You keep that.
Noted. All right. Last bit of Nintendo news. Switch version of RiME. What gets a price drop before launch. Greybox, the publisher of Tequila Works' upcoming RiME, has announced some changes to the game's price on Nintendo Switch after it was initially revealed the game would cost more on Nintendo's new console than other platforms. $29.99. That's the price, the digital version of RiME on Switch, in line with the physical and digital prices on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. So $29.99 across the board digitally. At Greybox, this is what Greybox had to say, quote, "At Greybox, we are determined to provide a fair deal for everyone around. And so we discussed how we could do that without simply selling at a loss, all while being fair to our retail partners, the publisher explained. However, the physical version of RiME on Switch will remain at $39.99, which Graybox explains is due to the additional development, manufacturing, and publishing costs involved with the port. And so the publisher cannot lower the price without selling at a loss. To offset the higher price, though, Switch physical copies of RiME will also come with a download code for composer David Garcia's RiME soundtrack. That's actually pretty sweet, which will otherwise be sold separately for $10. The download will be available via Bandcamp in one of the multiple high-quality formats. So it is still $39.99 retail, but you get the soundtrack with the purchase. So nice little offset there to kind of reward people who are paying for the higher cost.
Sweet. Does that $39.99 version come with trophies?
Get over it,
What a
boys. Let it go.
Nope.
Let it go. All right, I'm going to help boys. Boys, Sony stories, what's going on? Let's talk about games with trophies.
Let's do it. So Street Fighter V's next downloadable character has been unveiled, and it's Ed, who's the third fighter to join the roster as part of Season 2. Ed's actually he's actually playable right now as we're recording the show as part of the Capcom Network beta, which is kind of a program they've been doing recently where they're unlocking all the characters in the game. They're letting people get in there, test out some of the net code. So it's kind of cool. I haven't been able to jump in and test out any of this stuff, but it's kind of a cool idea. Ed's actually actual official release hasn't been confirmed yet, but he's more of like a brawler style character. So he's an up close character, but he uses some of like the psycho arts that Bison has made famous. So he looks like might be kind of a cool character to get in there and check out. Did you get a chance to see his debut trailer, Frankie?
Didn't watch it yet. Total slacker.
Gotcha. Yeah, way to go. So so Ed, he looks like he'll be a good addition to the roster if you were able to get in there and test him out during the beta. Let us know what you thought. Podcast at shortpause.com. Wipeout Omega Collection, getting this really slick PS1 style slipcover. And man, it appears right now that this is only going to be a UK thing. But this thing's kind of badass. I would imagine these things are going to show up on eBay and probably end up, people are going to spend way more money than they're worth. But I don't know. Have you guys seen this case? Like it mimics like a PS1 era case. You can slip it around your PS4 disc, and kind of a throwback to Wipeout's origins on the original PlayStation. This something any of you guys are into?
Those are those long box cases, right?
Yeah, it was those long box cases.
Those are pretty
It
cool.
looks pretty sweet.
Yeah. When I bought the PS1, when I first bought it, they still had the long cases. The first game I actually bought for the PS1 was Resident Evil. It came in the long case, and right after that, they switched over to the jewel cases. So I only owned one game with the long box, and it was Resident Evil. But after that, it was all jewel cases.
I had one as well. I think mine was Ultimate Mortal. No, it was regular Mortal Kombat 3. I also liked them because the Sega CD did those. I liked those. Totally overkill, but they're really cool.
Yeah. Sega CD, man. I wanted a Sega CD so bad for one reason and one reason only. It was because Earthworm Jim Special Edition was on there, and it wasn't anywhere else. And it was the first Earthworm Jim with like a couple extra bonus levels that you couldn't play anywhere else. So I was determined to get a Sega CD. As I got older, I finally made that a reality. I bought a Sega CD with a copy of Earthworm Jim Special Edition, so got it sitting in my collection now.
You need Snatcher.
Snatcher, yeah. I considered buying Snatcher many times, but it's always been really expensive, and maybe one day. We'll see.
I hate myself. I bought a copy off eBay, probably 15 years ago now. Paid $100 for it.
Yeah.
That's cheap for what that game's going for now.
Yeah, there you go. Investment, man.
I sold it. I did burn in like an ISO copy of the disc, and it works. I tested it in the Sega CD I had, so I do have a copy still, but it's not the same.
You disappoint me, Franklin.
I disappoint myself.
Moving on, Absolver has a release date now, August 29th on the PS4 and on the PC. Brent, have you seen this game or been following this, man? This game looks pretty sweet. It combines it looks to combine like some fighting game elements almost. It's got a really robust deep combat system. It can be played online or offline. It looks to be based around kind of exploring this world and getting into different combat and learning different techniques with the characters that you meet around the world, whether they're AI or controlled by other people. I just think this combat looks really, really interesting, and the way you chain moves together, and you can kind of, design your character and their combat style how you see fit. I just think it looks pretty rad. Have you seen much of this game, dude?
No.
Sweet. Has anybody seen Absolver?
Yeah, I kept confusing this game with Strafe. I don't know why. I just kept flipping which
Polar
games those were
opposites.
around. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this actually looks really cool. I remember when Strafe came out, I thought that was Absolver, so I was pretty excited about
Or
Strafe.
are they both Devolver Digital
Yeah.
joints?
That's
good. That could
why.
be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, seeing Strafe come out last week, I was like, "Wait, this isn't what I thought it was." So, of course, 2 days later, the PlayStation blog post Absolver. I was like, that's what it was. So yeah, I don't like the date, but yeah, I'm really excited about it.
It is a tough date. I'm wondering if this may be part of the PSN Play promotion in the summer. I think it usually goes on in August. Maybe this would be
It
like the
does.
last title.
Yeah.
Last title that's a part of that. So maybe some discount in there for this game.
Alright. Yeah.
So that was my initial thought when I saw it. But yeah, really, really tough date. Pox Nora is coming to PS4 next week. So this is a interesting looking deck building RPG type of a game. Valeriant also hitting PS4 next week. It's actually a game developed by a student group from Utah, who there's 12 of them. They got together and did this project, and it's going to be published on PSN, which is a pretty cool story. It takes cues from Gone Home. It deals with pain and coping with loss and whatnot. So it's got some heady themes it's going to explore. An interesting looking title that's going to hit PlayStation next week. Polarity Ultimate Edition hits PS4 on May 30th, so we have a date for that. This is a hacking game, which looks pretty interesting. This is one we're going to keep our eyes on too, Brent. Observer, cyberpunk horror game from the Layers of Fear team.
Mm-hmm.
So this is their follow up to that. They claim that they've learned a lot since Layers of Fear.
I hope so.
This is deals with some psychological horror. The ability to hack people's thoughts is kind of at the centerpiece of Observer and some of the psychological horror that explores. You up for giving these guys another shot, man, with Observer?
Yeah, look, Bloober Team did a really good job with, like, in terms of the story of Layers of the Fear. It was the execution, technically speaking, that was really, really bad, especially the final act. It was just a poorly optimized game on consoles. And but they knew how to create an eerie atmosphere. I mean, there were some strengths to this to Layers of Fear, and if they've learned anything from Layers of Fear, I'm definitely willing to give these guys another shot. I mean, they're very talented in terms of storytelling, and I'm sure they created an unnerving atmosphere. And the idea of hacking somebody's thoughts, especially if you get somebody's like deeper, darker thoughts, that could be a pretty creepy experience. So obviously, these guys have a good grasp on eerie concepts, unique concepts. Let's just hope that they've got their heads wrapped around the actual tech that they're building them on.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's a very, very interesting sounding title. Hoping for the best for these guys. Like you said, they've got some talent. They've got some interesting things that they want to explore. Hopefully they can get the tech side under wraps with Observer. We talked about Bloody Zombies and Surviving Mars coming to the Xbox One. Those are also coming to PS4, like we mentioned. Surviving Mars is a 2018 title, so the city building space game. And then Bloody Zombies, you mentioned it there, Brent. It's getting PlayStation VR support too, and this is interesting in the fact that it's a brawler. Obviously, it's not a first-person game or a game we would typically see placed into the VR headset, but if you're playing as one of the VR characters, your character in game will actually have the VR mask on, so you know who you're playing with and
That's
if they're
awesome.
playing in VR or not. And you can actually look around the game world, which apparently helps with finding secrets and kind of seeing what's around the game world and what's coming up ahead. So that's gonna give kind of an interesting mechanic to that game, which we haven't seen before. Also on the VR front, this game Arizona Sunshine. I don't know
This
if you've
looks
been reading
awesome.
about this.
Yeah, this
This
looks
sounds
sweet.
cool, man. It sounds like a full blown game. Like this is not going to be a short experience, and this actually takes advantage of the aim controller.
Yep.
So you're able to use that as well. It follows this kind of zombie apocalyptic type setting. But yeah, from what I've read about this game, man, it sounds like it's gonna be pretty ambitious. What do you think, Brent? Is this something piques your interest?
Yeah, this definitely piques my interest, especially, like I said, this is all going to come back to Farpoint and the PSVR aim and how well this thing works, and if it's one-to-one, and if it creates immersive experience and it's responsive and it adds to it, then yeah, I'm definitely curious, and because I'm going to want to use that for this game too. So
Yeah, they mentioned that they've been developing this game for a while. They've been optimizing it. They've been building it around VR, and it's going to be a full size game in virtual reality. There's also they're giving you different options for locomotion, so you'll be able to either move there with the sticks, or you can use the teleport mechanic, which we've seen in some of the other games to try and help with some of the motion sickness that people experience. So they mentioned realistic weapon handling with the aim controller, and this sounds cool, man. It looks cool. I'd definitely be down to give this one a shot. So keep your eye out for Arizona Sunshine coming out next month now in June. And then finally, Brent, on the PS side of things, Dynasty Warriors 9 going open world. So take your favorite Dynasty Warriors mechanics. We don't have a lot of information on the game yet, but the next one looking to go full on open world with everything that entails, optional side missions and kind of a big place to explore and get out there and beat down hordes of armies simultaneously with huge weapons and powers. And I don't know, that might be kind of cool.
there's 9 of these, man. Do these things really sell?
Dude, there's
well?
way more than 9 of these too. There's all these offshoots and spin-offs. There's probably 25 of these games. So this is the official 9th one though. And
I mean,
people love these games.
do these crack NPD?
No.
Not usually, but
Oh, it's just
When you
It's
re-release the same exact game again and again and again and again,
so basically, the Dynasty Warrior crowd are the biggest group of suckers ever. Awesome, good stuff.
probably. You see all the
Just
DLC
kidding.
these games get? There's an insane amount of DLC for these games.
Really, man. Dynasty Warrior folks, you guys must have deep pockets because you guys are funding this game and you're getting the same iteration or same game over and over again. So good for you.
It's kind of the same thought I have about like those spoof movies that keep getting made. Like whatever, like the superhero spoof movies or the scary movie spoof movies.
Scary movie.
Yeah, like if you've ever watched any of these, like after like the first scary movie, like these all just went downhill. But if you've ever watched any of these like parody movies, like they're awful.
They're not even funny. Like how hard is it to just make fun of something serious? But they do it, and they're like you said, they're just, you watch them, you're just like,
Dude, they're just abysmal, and they keep coming out, and I'm just thinking to myself, who in the hell is funding these movies? Who in the hell is watching these movies? Like, how do these keep coming out?
no
How's this
idea.
even happening?
It's unbelievable, dude. It's unbelievable.
Probably not the analogy that Dynasty Warriors fans wanted to hear, but
Not at all. In fact, we probably just lost all of our listeners. So,
Yeah.
But thank you, Mr. Boys. Appreciate you going through the news, and that's gonna do it for this week's show. It's been a good show. It's always great to be back with all of you guys. So appreciate you guys letting me take the week off and kind of get my mind together and get everything under control around me because man, it was just from all sides, man. It's been tough. So it's good to be back with you guys. I love you guys. It's always good talking games. So, boys, where can we find you gaming and tweeting?
as always, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930, and that's where you can find me gaming as well on PSN or on the Nintendo Switch, Piccolo930.
Franklin.
You can find me on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Nintendo Network, or Switch Network, whatever you want to call it.
Who knows what it's called?
Yeah. the Not Trophy Network, and Viper Strike. Probably gonna fire up the Surge sometime this week because I'm probably still gonna be working my way through it. So,
look for a stream from Frankie with the Surge. Be curious to see that game in action.
Mm-hmm.
Bender.
I'm on Twitter at Bender_Guitar. You can find me on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender. And I'm on Xbox Live at meBender82.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, TheRealDude79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at TheShortPause. If you like this podcast, if you really, really like it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write down a nice review. If you don't have anything nice to say, that's cool. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Write everything you want to write about the show. If you hate it, tell us why. We want to know why so we can make it better so you don't hate it, so you just kind of like it. We just kind of want to gradually get you up to loving it. So make sure you sound off, podcast@shortpause.com, or hit us up on the website in the comments of this post for this podcast. Sound off in the comments below. We take your feedback to heart. We want to make this the best show that you never want to miss every single week. You can find this podcast not only here on YouTube, you can also find it on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. We're everywhere. So if you've got any of those apps on your phone, you can find us there as well. But we're also on YouTube, video version. We want to hear your comments in the comments below. Talk about what we talked about. Share your opinions. We want to hear from you. We want to get you involved. Also, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel right here, Short Pause Gaming, the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight, the Let's Plays, everything. All of our streams, all of our videos, feature videos, gameplay, whatever. It's going to be right here on Short Pause Gaming. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Tell your buddies about us. We want to hear from them too. Check out our videos. We got stuff going up all the time. Also, subscribe to our Twitch channel, Short Pause Live. We still stream there once in a great while, but most of our stuff is right here on YouTube. For Frankie Ayler, Bender Holt, Ben Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thank you again for watching and listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Bye-bye.